Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Awaken the weakest talent. I rejected the school flower. Chapter 81. The college entrance examination is over. But then, there are also literary exams and tests. These two are easy to say, and very easy. But this does not need to continue to stay in this city, and needs to return to their original cities. But before leaving, Chen Ang found Sha Yue. Boy, to be honest, I regret it. Sha Yue said so when he saw Chen Ang for the first time. Hearing this, Chen Ang asked with a smile. Why is this? Because when I saw you before, you should have directly chosen our Wuku Academy. Now that you have won the first place, no surprise, a lot of people will soon come to you, including admissions teachers from other academies. Quote, however, I prefer you to join our Wuku Academy. Believe me, our Wuku Academy is definitely the best choice for you. Sha Yue said seriously. In this regard, Chen Ang smiled casually. Then, Teacher Sha, I have won the first place, are there any more rewards? Hearing this, Sha Yue was stunned for a moment, but then burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, yes, of course there is, if you are willing to come to the Wuku Academy, if you don't say anything else, under the conditions you mentioned before, you can double it for you. In this case, I will still seriously consider it. Chen Ang said seriously. However, before making a decision, it is natural to look at the benefits of other colleges. Sha Yue is also clear about this, but he has no objection. Then Chen Ang was about to leave. But before leaving, Chen Ang took out his mobile phone and said, Mr. Sha may wish to take a look at this, can you give it to me to the relevant departments? Play a video on your phone. The content of the broadcast is naturally the picture of Xie Kengning's cheating. Seeing this, Sha Yue's face suddenly became solemn, and his brows were furrowed. Wangxing Tower, I didn't expect that someone colluded with this extraterritorial organization. You send me a copy of the video, and I will hand it over to the relevant departments in person. Okay, then I'll trouble Teacher Sha. Wherever it is, it's all about eliminating harm for the people. Teacher Sha smiled and stopped. After Chen Ang sent the video, he left and returned to his team. As always, it was the familiar middle-aged man who used teleportation to send everyone back to Diwan City. As soon as he arrived, the head teacher walked up to Chen Ang and said enthusiastically, other students can go back, remember to take the next exam tomorrow. Chen Ang, come with me, the principal wants to see you. It is good. Chen Ang nodded, probably guessing why. Followed to the principal's office, the head teacher left. The principal was an old man with white hair. When he saw Chen Ang coming, he immediately said with a smile on his face, Chen Ang, I already know your grades. Although it's just a martial arts test, it's enough. First place. To be honest, I didn't expect that. Because of you, the school has shown a lot of limelight this time, and there will be resources tilted in the future. Therefore, your school will be rewarded. But because I don't know what you want, and there is nothing good in the school, I can only give you a special resource volume, and you can choose one as a reward. Hearing this, Chen Ang said with a smile on his face. Okay, thank you principal. No, you deserve it. Chen Ang nodded, took the resource scroll, turned around and left. On the special resource volume, there is a corresponding address. Not where it was when picking materials earlier, but another area. Chen Ang was not in a hurry to go home and went directly. Soon, it was outside a house with only one floor. There was another old man guarding the door. After Chen Ang took out the special resource scroll, he walked in with a look of surprise in his eyes. There are not many items in this house, but each one is a treasure of heaven and earth. Power fruit, physical fruit, Wanshuihua, 7-star grass. Chen Ang looked at each one carefully, touching his chin and muttering to himself. Tisk, in a school, there are not many such treasures. No wonder the principal is so happy. This time I won the first place, I am afraid that there are a lot of resources tilted. Having said that, Chen Ang also decided what he wanted to choose. Spiritual fruit. This thing is far less effective than the first time for Chen Ang today. But it is also the most suitable for Chen Ang at present. Not surprisingly, it was enough for his spiritual attributes to reach the limit. Therefore, after choosing, Chen Ang left this treasure house. Because Li Leiyao and others had already gone home, there was no need to say hello, so Chang'an went straight to the direction of home. Those fools seemed to be gone. On the way home, Chang'an looked around and didn't find those gangsters. I didn't care. After all, if there were no accidents, the Xie family would soon be destroyed. In the end, he didn't know whether Xie Kangning's father could guess that his son died in his own hands. Shaking his head, Chang'an didn't want to think about it. After returning home, he took a shower, sat cross-legged on the bed, took out the spirit fruit, and swallowed it. At the same time, he also began to turn his palms to the sky and close his eyes to visualize. In the spiritual space, a bone is lifelike. Mental strength began to grow. Chang'an's breathing was gentle, quietly refining the effect of spiritual fruit. However, after a quarter of an hour passed, Chang'an opened his eyes and checked his spiritual attributes with joy in his eyes. Fine. 500, extreme, 500. Haha, it really reached the limit. Chang'an showed joy and excitement. After reaching the limit of spiritual attributes, all his attributes are now all limited. Next, prepare for the evolution of talent. Do not. In fact, there is no need to prepare. After all his materials have been collected. Start making potions. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Chang'an murmured, and with a wave of his hand, all the materials appeared in front of him. Without any hesitation, he started to make the potion. Chang'an was very skilled in this regard, and after a while, a bottle of black potion appeared in his hand. This is the evolution potion of the dead dragon arm. Let me see what the dead dragon arm after the evolution of the dead dragon arm is like. The corners of his mouth twitched. With a look of anticipation, Chang'an drank the potion in one gulp. An inexplicable feeling swept through the body. The breath of death began to permeate. The dead dragon arm manifested, and at the same time, the dragon scales covering the shoulders could be clearly seen, and they began to watch other areas cover and spread away at a speed visible to the naked eye. Evolution begins. Dragon scales continue to cover. Start from the right hand to the shoulder, cover the neck, and continue to cover from the neck down, gradually covering the body. The black gleaming dragon scales, like a suit of armor, gradually wrapped Chang'an in front of him, and the breath of death turned into a black mist around him. Gradually, Chang'an's body was completely covered with a layer of dragon scales, and even his left arm turned into a dragon arm. From the neck above, it is also covered with dragon scales from this moment, and two black dragon horns extend out from the forehead. Even the pupils became pitch black and filled with death. Process of evolution. It's over soon. When Chang'an opened his eyes and felt the changes in his body, he couldn't help widening his eyes and hurriedly came to the mirror in the bathroom. Chang'an was stunned when he saw what he looked like now. If the previous dragon claw and dragon arm talents are local, so now, he has turned into a dragon man. There were huge changes all over. The dragon scales turned into armor, and a sturdy dragon tail swayed with Chang'an's thoughts behind him. Both his left and right hands had sharp dragon claws, and he seemed to be wearing a black helmet on his head. Yingwu. Domineering. Chilling. There is also a hint of danger. This is Chang'an's first impression when he sees his new talent. Those cold eyes without the slightest vitality, almost subconsciously make people feel dangerous. Even Chang'an felt a little surprised when he saw it for the first time. So strong. Chang'an was amazed. Yes, too strong. After the dead dragon arm evolves, it is the dead dragon soldier. He seemed to understand why. Just like this, it is completely a combat weapon. No feelings. Born to fight. The dragon scales covering the whole body are the best armor. That sturdy dragon might, and the sharp dragon claws attached to the left and right arms, are also the best weapons. But, always feel like something is missing. Chang'an frowned, his heart moved, and a prompt appeared in front of him. Choose an ancient weapon, melt it in liquid and apply it on the dragon scales to activate it. Different weapons have different effects, please pay attention. Is there such a way to activate the feature? Chang'an was surprised, but he didn't waste any time. With a wave of his hand, an ancient weapon appeared in his hand. It was the old flag gun that I got back then. Although it was used by Chang'an as the material for the evolution of the dead dragon arm, the material required for the dead dragon arm was only some rust on it, which was not worth mentioning for this weapon. But I didn't expect that this ancient weapon would be useful again so quickly. melted into molten iron and smeared on the dragon scales. Chen Ang's eyes flickered, holding the flag gun, and spit out a dragon's breath. After controlling the strength, the flag gun turned into molten iron at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chen Ang moved his hands together, and while melting, he smeared molten iron on the dragon's scales. A scalding pain suddenly appeared, but Chen Ang gritted his teeth and endured. And he could see where the dragon scales began to shine, as if something was changing. But within 5 minutes, the molten iron had been completely smeared. Chen Ang's eyes suddenly flickered, and his heart was touched. Subconsciously waved his right hand. It can be seen that the dragon scales on Chen Ang's body began to surge and converge towards the palm of Chen Ang's right hand. A weapon formed from dragon scales quickly condenses into shape. This is flag gun. Looking at the weapon in his hand, Chen Ang's mouth twitched. The ability to understand the characteristics of the dead dragon soldier. Dragon soldier, flag spear, use dragon scales as a weapon to fight to the death. Any of your own strength will act on the dragon soldier to fight. The dragon soldier itself also has special effects. The effect of the dragon soldier is, when waving the flag spear, those who trust the host will stimulate their potential. This is the new feature of the dead dragon soldier. Just looking at the characteristics, it can be seen that this talent is completely born for the battlefield. Dragon soldiers can greatly enhance the talent's ability to kill enemies on the battlefield. A move in my heart. A black weapon can be seen emerging from the tip of the gun. This is death energy, which can corrupt the enemy. As mentioned in the introduction, all of his abilities can act on the dragon soldiers. This means that not only death energy, but also Chen Ang's armor breaking and even dragon breath can be used. Although the dragon soldier is transformed by dragon scales, it does not mean that Chen Ang does not have dragon scales on his body. If it is not applicable to dragon soldiers, it is also very simple. Chen Ang's heart moved, and the dragon soldier melted into Chen Ang's body like a liquid. In general, the dragon soldier is very strong and extremely convenient. Swish. Consolidating the dragon soldiers again, Chen Ang kept trying with curiosity in his eyes. A thought. The black dragon breath is wrapped around the tip of the spear. Another thought. A faint breath wrapped around it. It is long way. Amazing. Chen Ang was amazed, and even had a corresponding idea in his mind. With the dragon soldier, can I stack all the abilities I hold to form a stronger blow? Not necessarily, but currently at home, the venue is too small to try. This made Chen Ang feel a little regretful. But today's surprises are enough. After Chen Ang took a deep breath, he didn't care about it. After all, not to mention the evolution of talent today, and the activation method of characteristics is so simple, so he even activated his characteristics. Do not. The feature activation method should not be simple, but simple for him. If he hadn't had a gold finger, he would have never thought that activation would require an ancient weapon, and he would have to melt it into molten iron and smear it all over his body. Who would have thought of this? Waved. The dragon soldiers dispersed. The dragon scales covering his body also dissipated. Chen Ang turned into his original form. Immediately, an attribute prompt appeared in front of him. Chen Ang. Body. 611 pull, 1000. Force. 609 pull, 1000. Min. 608 pull, 1000. Fine. 610 extreme, 1000. Talent 1. Dead dragon arm characteristics. Armor breaking, dragon muscle, 4 times the strength increase, the king is good, stealing life, dragon soldier. Talent 2. Absorbing body, blood spring, quick healing, transformation. Skills. Tearing claw, perfect, double strength increase, need to improve proficiency, fighting technique, dragon might, dragon breath, perfect, triple damage. Cultivation method. Basic ancient yoga, holy dragon breathing method. In terms of attributes, it has also received a huge boost. And the limit attribute, don't look at it, it is only equivalent to doubling, far less than the promotion from the first order to the second order. But you must know that attributes such as attributes, when all are placed on one person, are not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. And the further you go, the harder it is to improve. Chen Ang didn't know how long it would take to reach the limit. Finally, it is the direction of evolution. Let me see how many evolutionary paths the dead dragon soldier has. Chen Ang's eyes flickered, the attributes disappeared, and instead, the evolutionary direction emerged. Diwan City. Li Leiyao's house. Li Leiyao, who had just returned home, went straight to the bathroom because she hadn't showered for a few days, washed it clean, and after the scent was sprayed into her nose, she walked out of the bathroom while wiping her hair, and went to the living room to sit on the sofa. Li Chengkong was already sitting here waiting for his daughter, took a deep breath with a cigarette in his hand, and said kindly, "Tell me about your experience in the secret realm. What's there to say?" Li Leiyao pouted, but still thought about what she wanted to say. After pondering for a while, Li Leiyao found that there seemed to be nothing to say. The only thing that can be said is about Chen Ang. Thinking of this, Li Leiyao immediately opened his mouth and said with a smile, "Dad, I was alone in the secret realm for the first 2 days, and then I met Chen Ang, and I stayed with Chen Ang all the time. I just found out that Chen Ang's strength has become very strong, and his talent is..." Wait. Before Li Leiyao could finish speaking, Li Chengkong raised his hand to interrupt, his expression solemn. Li Leiyao said strangely, "Dad, what's the matter? You said you were with classmate Chen Ang." "Yes." "Lonely and widowed." "Yes, Dad." Li Leiyao was still puzzled, but when she heard the last 4 words, she still didn't understand what her father was thinking, so she immediately said angrily, "What do you think? It's too dangerous for me to go with Chen Ang alone, okay? And thanks to Chen Ang, I can get such high points." Cough. "Okay, it's okay." Li Chengkong touched his nose and smiled slightly embarrassedly. An old father after all. He still cares a lot about his daughter. Although he also appreciates Chen Ang more. But after all, she is her own daughter, and she is inevitably worried, afraid of losing money. Li Leiyao was angry. "I'm telling you the truth. What's the matter? You say it." "It's a matter of Chen Ang's talent," Li Leiyao said quickly. "Dad, Chen Ang's talents have evolved to the 2nd rank, and he has also acquired the 2nd talent. He said that it is also a brand new evolutionary route." Oh. Hearing this, Li Chengkong exhaled smoke and looked surprised. "Really?" "Yeah, he said it himself." Li Leiyao nodded. Li Chengkong touched his chin and said involuntarily, "Looks like he's very lucky." "No, I can't say luck. To be able to succeed in 2 consecutive unknown evolutionary routes is already a strength. I just don't know if this evolutionary route was discovered by him, or was it just a chance. No, even if there is an evolutionary route that is a chance, it is very powerful, indicating that this guy is quite qualified in this regard. Liao, you can consider asking this guy for more advice in the future. After all, your talent is also in an unknown direction, and it still comes from Chen Ang. Maybe this little guy has the evolution formula in his hands." He reminded his daughter. Heard. Li Leiyao waved his hand immediately. "Dad, don't worry, I can do it without you telling me, hee hee." The smile on that face came from the heart. Let Li Chengkong look weird. My own daughter, every time she mentions Chen Ang's face, there is a smile on her face. It made his old father a little jealous. At the same time, I couldn't help muttering, "You don't like that kid, do you?" Of course, he wouldn't ask this question either, because he was afraid that it wouldn't, and it would arouse his daughter's rebellious psychology. After all, he is a talented person, and he is about to go to college, so he also intends to go with the flow. "Okay, take a good rest, you must be exhausted these days. Tell Dad what you want to eat, and I'll go buy food for you. Take a day off today, and try your best to take the exam tomorrow." "What do you want to eat?" "I think about. Thank you." Xie Anbong sat in his office with a gloomy face, holding a cigarette to his mouth with a trembling right hand, and calmed down after taking a deep breath. But it could be seen from the slightly throbbing flesh on his cheeks that he was suppressing the anger in his heart. Call. Xie Anbong took a deep breath, raised his head, stared at the mage in front of him with cold eyes, and said solemnly, "I should remember how you promised me when you promised to help you enter the secret realm of the college entrance examination. Can you repeat it for me?" The extraterritorial mage said calmly, "We will do our best to protect your son." "But what about the result?" Xie Anbong roared suddenly, his aura burst out, and he suppressed it. The extraterritorial mage said calmly, "Isn't it a big surprise this time? Who would have thought that it would be fine if the people from the blood sect went in, and at the last moment there were other people taking advantage of the fishermen. Lord Truth has already heard the news, and he knows who is the one who killed everyone and took away that power in the end. Who? Xiaonbong raised his head, killing intent flashing in his eyes. The extraterritorial mage didn't care, just slowly said the name he heard from Lord Truth, Zhao Sibo. Hear the name. Xiaonbong's pupils shrank suddenly, and he seemed to feel a little familiar. But right now, outside the hall, a voice suddenly sounded. The Xie family colluded with the Wangxing Pagoda of the foreign forces. The crime is unforgivable, the crime is extremely heinous. The crime should be punished. When Xiaonbong and the extraterritorial mage heard the voice, their breath exploded, and they rushed towards the outside frantically. Chen Ang naturally didn't know about this. At this time, Chen Ang was looking at the evolutionary root of his dead dragon soldier. Dead dragon soldier. Evolutionary roots. 3. 1. Dragon blood warrior, death. 2. Dragon riders. 3. The Dragon Royale. The 3 evolutionary roots appeared in front of Chen Ang one by one, causing Chen Ang to touch his chin and think deeply. These 3 evolutionary roots seem to be in completely different directions. The first root, the Dragon Blood Warrior, should be the orthodox evolution of the dead dragon soldier. And the Dragon Rider is a bit unpredictable. Could it be that the talent will manifest a dragon? It's unlikely, but since it is a knight, it must be similar to the kind that has a mount, and the combat power of the mount is not bad. The last Dragon Master sounds a bit like a Beastmaster. It's hard to choose from the completely different directions. It's not good to look at the new evolution direction after each evolution. Not sure which route to choose at all. In the end, Chen Ang can only choose according to the past, whichever material arrives first, decide which to evolve. And at this level, at least from the perspective of Chen Ang, the 3 evolutionary routes are actually pretty good. Of course, Chen Ang prefers Dragon Blood Warriors. Because the Dragon Blood Warrior is obviously the type of personal force first. Shaking his head, Chen Ang no longer pays attention to these. Tomorrow is the literary test, so I have to rest early. With a murmur, Chen Ang has no intention of going out today. He simply sits cross-legged, trying to do 2 things with one mind. While visualizing, he practices breathing. A blink of an eye. It's night time. Chen Ang was ready to rest after dinner. Ding dong. Take out the phone and take a look. It's Li Leiyao. Chen Ang, big news, everyone in the Xie family has been arrested. Because it is said to collude with foreign forces, but it seems that Xie Kengning's father has escaped. You should be careful. What does it have to do with me? You killed Xie Kengning. Who said that? It's pure slander. Obviously, it's Zhao Sibo. Chen Ang put down the phone with a smile, his eyes flickered. Tisk, not even the official ones, it's all for Xie Kengning's father to escape. But in the next few days, you still have to be careful, lest Xie Kengning's father really find out that I killed him and come to me for revenge. But that's not right, my strength, now I'm not really afraid of him, provided that I don't have any trump cards. Who knows if Xie Kengning's father has colluded with Wangxingta for so long, whether there will be any cards in his hand. Better to be careful. Shaking his head, Chen Ang didn't think about it any longer. After washing up, he lay on the bed and fell asleep. In a blink of an eye, the night passed. A new day has come. The next morning at 7 o'clock, Chen Ang woke up, washed up and had breakfast, then went out and went straight to school. Today is the literary test, tomorrow there will be a test, and then the college entrance examination will be over. Chen Ang is already thinking about which college to go to. In fact, someone from other colleges had already contacted him yesterday. It's just that Chen Ang didn't agree immediately. After all, there are multiple comparisons. From what I know, it seems that the Wuku Academy is the most suitable for me. Chen Ang touched his chin and thought to himself. The reason is quite simple. The Wuku Academy is more focused on cultivating students' combat effectiveness, so it is more open than other academies in many aspects, so that students can more easily fight with the enemy. In other words, there are still some passages to destroy the world in the Wuku Academy, which can be explored by the students. Although other academies have them, they are not as open as the Wuku Academy. The so-called extinct worlds are other worlds that have been destroyed due to war or invasion, and there are still a large number of treasures and enemies left. In this world, enemies of any level are likely to be encountered. But at the same time, any kind of baby is possible. Thinking room. Chen Ang came to the school gate unknowingly. Chen Ang, here. A pleasant voice came. Chen Ang looked up and saw that Li Leiyao was waving at him, and Xiao Yiqing was standing beside him, seemingly waiting for him. However, beside Xiao Yiqing, Zhao Sibo was still standing. Compared with the happy expressions of the two women when they saw Chen Ang, Zhao Sibo was more complicated. Looking at Chen Ang, there was a hint of fear in his eyes. After all, Chen Ang ranked first in the martial arts test yesterday. No matter how brainless he was, he couldn't think that Chen Ang was lucky enough to get such a high score, and he could only get it out of strength. And Chen Ang was so strong, he began to regret the trouble with Chen Ang before. Chen Ang didn't know what Zhao Sibo was thinking, so he asked with a smile after walking over. "Why are you here?" "Waiting for you," Li Leiyao said with a smile. Xiao Yiqing nodded. "Okay, let's go in when you come." Saying that, the four of them planned to step into the academy. Suddenly, swish, an air-breaking sound rang out, followed by a rage. "Zhao Sibo, return my son's life." The four of them looked back subconsciously, only to see Xie Anbong's eyes reddened, staring at Zhao Sibo with icy killing intent and rushing towards Zhao Sibo at a very fast speed. There are thunders all over the place. Zhao Sibo was instantly stunned. That terrifying killing intent made him chill, his mind went blank, and he couldn't even escape. He could only watch Xie Anbong rush in front of him, as if he was going to die in the next moment. But at this moment, Chen Ang moved. He felt that Xie Anbong's strength was not that strong. And it doesn't seem to have any trump cards. Therefore, when Xie Anbong rushed in front of Zhao Sibo, Chen Ang's right hand turned into a dragon arm, the long spear dragon soldiers condensed impressively, and the spear body wrapped around the death dragon breath and swept away. At the same time, boom, a wave of dragon power erupted from Chen Ang, which immediately shocked Xie Anbong, with a momentary loss of consciousness. It was at this moment that Chen Ang's spear struck. "What?" The screams came from Xie Anbong's mouth, and he was swept by the dragon soldiers and hit his abdomen. His body flew out like a kite with a broken string. Not to mention, the place where he was hit was burned with the breath of death, depriving his vitality and corroding his body. "I dare to do it during the day, but it is still at the gate of the school. I really don't know whether to live or die." Chen Ang sneered, not giving Xie Anbong a chance to react at all, holding the dragon spear and projecting it suddenly. Whoosh! The sound of breaking the air suddenly exploded. The dragon spear seemed to turn into a black light and shot out, like a bullet that escaped from the muzzle. As soon as Xie Anbong raised his head, his pupils shrank suddenly, and an aura of death descended. Puff! The dragon spear pierced Xie Anbong's forehead directly and was nailed to the ground. All this happened in a very short period of time. After the reaction comes 0. Some ordinary people around screamed in horror. Zhao Sibo regained his senses, his body was dripping with cold sweat, and his legs were shaking. It's just that Xie Anbong didn't seem to be dead yet, his eyes were fixed on Zhao Sibo, and he opened his mouth hoarsely with a hideous smile. Zhao Sibo, Wangxing Tower will not let you go, you wait. They will avenge me. No, what is the Wangxing Tower? Why are you killing me? You are Xie Kangning's father, right? I didn't kill Xie Kangning at all. Don't die. Listen to me. Zhao Sibo stared at Xie Anbong, who had fallen to the ground, dead and lost his life, with a dazed expression on his face. Big eyes, full of confusion. Is Xie Kangning dead? What does it have to do with me if I die? I haven't seen that guy in the secret realm at all. And what the hell is the Wangxing Tower? I don't know at all. When did I provoke this force? Zhao Sibo couldn't understand, but he knew that he might have been targeted by a force. Inexplicably felt wronged, but also felt like crying without tears. If Xie Anbong hadn't died, he could have explained it, but after Xie Anbong said those words, he died directly. He couldn't even explain. Why is that? He murmured in confusion, in a daze. In this regard, Li Leiyao silently glanced at Chen Ang. Chen Ang touched his nose and silently retreated behind everyone. Boy, your strength is a bit ferocious. School entrance. Li Kui said to Chen Ang after looking at Xianbong's body. This Yamen chief is naturally the strong man who came to ask about the situation when Chen Ang killed the mages of the Wangxing Pagoda. This time he also called the police. Fortunately, this is not just after the martial arts exam, there is a chance in the secret realm. Chen Ang laughed. Hearing this, Li Kui also smiled helplessly and said, "Okay, this time you are credited. This guy escaped yesterday and thought he would leave Diwan City, but he didn't expect to stay in the city, thanks to you, otherwise the consequences might be unimaginable." Saying that, he said to Zhao Sibo, "By the way, although I don't know how you provoked this guy and Wangxing Pagoda, but I suggest that you better be careful in the next time. After the college entrance examination is over, it will be safe to go to those colleges as soon as possible, otherwise, maybe this kind of thing will happen again and again." Hearing Li Kui's words, Zhao Sibo wanted to cry without tears. "I don't even know how it happened." Li Kui said no nonsense, he brought people quickly and went quickly. After taking away Xianbong's body, he also gave Chen Ang a bonus notice and asked him to go to the Yamen to collect it himself. But not much, only 100,000 yuan, which is better than nothing. Then the four talents stepped into the academy to prepare for the literary test. Literary examinations can be said to be important or unimportant to talented people. It all depends on the future choices of the talented people. Because the talent of some talented people, even if they evolve, may not be the direction of enhancing the combat power, but the research, therefore, the absorption of knowledge is more important. Only these talented people need to focus on the literary test. But for Chen Ang, it's not that important. If you can, write it, if you can't, it's up to God. In a blink of an eye, time passed. 2 days passed quickly. Literacy exam is over. The test is also over. This also means that the college entrance examination is completely over. The first day of high school. Chen Ang's home. Chen Ang was returning from the outside to deal with his harvest in the secret realm of the martial arts examination. After this trip, Chen Ang can be considered a millionaire. Carrie has about 3 million, which is a huge sum of money. But not long after I got home. Dong dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Chen Ang opened the door and it was Sha Yue. "Why is Teacher Sha here?" Chen Ang invited Sha Yue into the room and asked with a smile. "Not for you, guy." Sha Yue smiled and said angrily. "How is it? How are you thinking?" "Think about it." Chen Ang nodded. Apparently, he also guessed that Sha Yue came for this. Hearing this, Sha Yue's eyes lit up and said, "Oh, I hope I hear good news. It should be good news for Teacher Sha." Chen Ang smiled and shrugged. "After all, as Teacher Sha said, Wuku Academy is the most suitable for me, isn't it?" "Ha ha ha, yes, you are right, the Wuku Academy is the most suitable for you. Boy, trust me, you won't regret this choice." Hearing Chen Ang's choice, Sha Yue immediately laughed happily. Chen Ang stopped and said, "Mr. Sha, don't be too happy, I have something else I need your help with." "You say." Sha Yue waved his hand and looked confident. "As long as it's something I can do it for you." Chen Ang is the most outstanding seedling in this session, there is no one. Even after the martial arts exam, the principal personally found him and asked him to pull Chen Ang into the martial arts college. With this emphasis, he knew that Chen Ang's future would be brilliant. Now that Chen Ang has agreed to join the Wuku Academy, he naturally doesn't mind if he is a little busy. Chen Ang asked, "Mr. Sha, can you let me enter the school early? You also know that there is still a month before the official start of the school. I am too lazy to wait, and it is a bit boring to continue to stay at home. After the college entrance examination, there will be a 1-month vacation." But Chen Ang couldn't visualize and practice breathing every day during this month, right? Even if it is to explore in the secret realm, there are really not many things that can help Chen Ang in the novice secret realm. Although there are high-level secret realms outside the city, no matter how high it is, can it be as high as the Wuku Academy? Not to mention that there are still things like destruction of the world and so on in the Wuku Academy. Hearing this, Sha Yue was taken aback, and why did he think it was happening, that's all. "Okay, no problem, I'll arrange it for you when I go back, and I'll let you know when the time comes, how about it?" "Then thank you Teacher Sha." With Sha Yue's assurance, Chen Ang's eyes flashed with joy. After chatting for a while, and under the arrangement of Xia Yue, after choosing a college, Xia Yue left. P.S. The college entrance examination has been written for a long time, and I don't want to continue to be long-winded in this regard, so I will simplify and skip it. Chen Ang also took a deep breath, went back to the room and turned on the computer, intending to buy some materials, maybe it is a treasure. No surprise, if my dead dragon soldier talent is going to evolve now, it's probably a dragon blood warrior. As for the absorption body, it should also evolve into a mad dragon physique. Chen Ang thought to himself. Because he can get another resource in the academy, Chen Ang went there yesterday and found a material that suits him. Yulong Fire Dragon Heart Blood. Only a drop, but enough. Chen Ang didn't need this thing before, but now he needs it. Dragon blood warriors need materials. 5 drops of Yulong blood of different attributes, 5 drops of Yulong blood of different attributes, 5 grams of Yulong dragon scale powder of different attributes, dark flower, death crystal x1. Did not urge. The materials that dragon blood warriors want to evolve are outrageous. But the good thing is that, apart from death crystals and dark flowers, such as dragon essence blood, heart blood and even dragon scale powder, Chen Ang has one of the 5. That's right, it's the death dragon. Therefore, compared with other evolutionary routes, at least Chen Ang of Dragon Blood Warriors material has already collected some parts. As for other materials, I would like to have the opportunity to obtain them after I go to the Wuku Academy. As for the evolutionary route of the absorbing body, Chen Ang also made a decision. Crazy Dragon Physique. Since it is a direction that requires both the absorption body and the dragon attribute talent to evolve, then it can illustrate a problem. This talent, unsurprisingly, will be very powerful. And think about it, it shouldn't conflict with his own death dragon soldier. Otherwise there would not be such an evolutionary requirement. As for the material, to be honest, it's a bit outrageous. The physique of a mad dragon is required for evolution. 1 or 2 of Yulong's flesh and blood, a drop of blood from the dragon's heart, 10 grams of blood Tai Sui, life treasure x1, dragon attribute heaven and earth treasure x1. To know that the evolution materials of the dead dragon soldiers are all Yulong's. The mad dragon physique needs a drop of the blood of the real dragon. Dragon, I will definitely not be an opponent now, I can only see if I can get it from the treasure house of the Wuku Academy. Chen Ang thought to himself. Thinking room. Ding dong. Phone vibration. Chen Ang picked up the phone and glanced at it. It was a message from Li Leiyao. Chen Ang, my dad wants to see you, do you have time? I just came back from the vaccine, and the update is late. In addition, I would like to thank the big brother, Mo, for the reward again, I am very grateful. See me. Chen Ang's eyes flickered, then came stunned. For the evolutionary route, although Li Leiyao didn't say anything. But it is not difficult to guess Li Chengkong's purpose. After all, Li Leiyao's evolutionary direction is provided by himself, but it is only provided to the second order. If Li Leiyao doesn't want to acquire the second talent and focuses on the second talent, then if he wants to evolve the holy light, he has to explore by himself. But groping for yourself is always a risk. If there is no way, of course it can only be so. However, if Li Leiyao told Li Chengkong that both of them were in an unknown evolutionary direction, Li Chengkong certainly couldn't guess that Chen Ang had a gold finger, but he might think that Chen Ang was more talented in this regard. In this case, in order to make the evolution of my daughter go smoothly, it is the best choice to ask myself for help. After Chen Ang thought for a moment, he did not refuse. It just so happened that Li Chengkong's father was powerful and should have connections. It might be easier to gather materials than himself. Chen Ang. Okay, when and where? Li Leiyao. At 6 o'clock in the evening, it's still a drunken fairy house. Chen Ang. Yes. After agreeing on the time and place, Chen Ang continued to check the materials that he could afford online and that he needed. There is blood in Taisui, but the price is too expensive, 10,000 yuan per gram. If I want to buy 10 grams, that's 100,000 yuan. These people are really blackhearted. There is no heavenly treasure of the life element, but there is a dragon tooth fruit for the dragon attribute heavenly material and earth treasure, but the price is too expensive, 500,000 yuan. Chen Ang was helpless. He has a copy of the dragon attribute material. But he really doesn't have the treasures of heaven and earth. In this case, you can only buy it. The dark flower is also needed, and it is normal to have 100,000 flowers. After all, this material is relatively rare, and it is usually born in the world of the dead. There is no death crystal. What about the materials on Yulong's body? It's so expensive. Crazy. Seeing the material on Yulong's body, Chen Ang's mouth twitched. Good guy. A drop of blood is 50,000 yuan. The blood essence, dragon scales, and even the blood of the heart basically cost 50,000 yuan. In other words, if you want to buy all of them, you will have to spend at least 600,000. Of course, just thought about it. After all, even if Chen Ang wants to buy it, there are not so many materials on the internet. Most people keep this rare material for their own use. At present, the materials that can be purchased are fire, water, and soil, the three more common Yulong material parts. But even so, the entire purchase cost Chen Ang 450,000. In addition to the previous dragon tooth fruit, blood tasui, and dark flower. In just a short time, Chen Ang spent 1.15 million. Simply expensive. This is still the material required for the third order. If it is more advanced, like the material on the real dragon, it is a million start with a drop of blood. Forget it, fortunately, it's a harvest. When all these materials are ready, let's say that the dragon blood warrior, I only need a death crystal and a new attribute Yulong material. Shaking his head, Chen Ang took a deep breath, turned off the computer, and sat on the bed to practice. Time flies. In the blink of an eye it was evening. Chen Ang took a shower and went straight to Zaixianju. At the place, led by the waiter to the box. As soon as he entered the door, Li Chengkong said with a smile on his face. Chen Ang, come, sit down. It is good. Chen Ang nodded, but he was not polite and asked straight to the point. Uncle Li, are you looking for me for something? Well, it does. Li Chengkong also knew Chen Ang's character and nodded decisively. I heard Liao say that your two talents are unknown evolutionary directions. Yes. Hearing this, Li Chengkong's eyes were deep. Taking a deep look at Chen Ang, he said. But your current breath is third order, right? Chen Ang was slightly surprised. But after being surprised, he was relieved. After all, he also sensed a trace of Li Chengkong's aura. 5th grade. Definitely a strong one. It is normal to feel his own strength. Therefore, Chen Ang nodded. Yes, not long after I was promoted. Wow, Chen Ang, your third order. Seeing Chen Ang admit it, Li Leiyao immediately showed a shocked expression. Chen Ang smiled. Li Leiyao was still amazed. Originally, your strength is already strong, but now that your talent has evolved, isn't it even more terrifying? Hey, I don't care. After you go to university, you have to take me to the secret realm. Okay, I'll definitely take you. Chen Ang shook his head amusingly. Li Chengkong said with a smile. It can be seen that Chen Ang is very talented in this area. My search for you is also related to this aspect. Chen Ang should be able to guess it. Chen Ang smiled slightly. Ah, as you can guess, it's for Liao's talent, right? But I remember that Liao's characteristics haven't been figured out yet. Why are you in such a hurry? Always be prepared in advance, isn't it? 2. Chen Ang nodded, touched his chin and thought about it, then said. Uncle Li, I won't hide it from you. I probably know some of Liao's talent evolution materials. If I have the materials, I can also make evolution potions for Liao, but I can't do it for nothing. Of course, Li Chengkong's eyes flickered, and he nodded. What do you say you want in return? Or is it a treasure? Yes, but not only. Chen Ang grinned and asked. I wonder if Uncle Li has a way to get a drop of the dragon's blood. Dragon's heart blood. Hearing this, Rao Shi Li Chengkong couldn't help showing a shocked expression. Dragon how to say, the strength of the dragon is basically strong and weak. But the weakest is about the 5th order. Powerful, even is comparable to the world master. Of course, the dragon is also full of treasures, and there are many materials available. But you're just a tier 3 talent. Or a talent who has just been promoted to tier 3. Even if the ordinary talent needs the materials on the dragon, it will be after the 5th rank. Why do you want it now? And your talent has only just evolved, right? Li Chengkong probably guessed the reason, and his heart was shocked. There was a hint of amazement in his eyes. Evildoer. This guy is definitely a monster. He secretly thought. After a moment of silence. Li Chengkong opened his mouth and said, I can only say that it can be tried, but there is no guarantee, and if it is the blood of the dragon, then there will be no more treasures. Hearing this, it was Chen Ang's turn to be surprised. Can you really get it? You think too much. Li Chengkong rolled his eyes angrily. I can only try, I can't guarantee it. It doesn't matter, as long as there is a chance. Chen Ang said indifferently, squinting his eyes, his heart was full of joy. A chance is better than no chance. Although he has a way to get it. After all, the treasure house of the Wuku Academy, I can enter it myself. But always save this opportunity to save. After all, it is the treasure house of the Wuku Academy. There must be a lot of precious materials in it. Maybe I can use it when I am in the 5th and 6th orders in the future. Preliminary transaction. So it's done. To put it bluntly, I came here today for Li Leiyao's evolution potion. And Chen Ang said what he wanted. Then after Li Chengkong got it, Chen Ang could immediately help Li Leiyao prepare the medicine. After the negotiation is completed, naturally there is no need to talk about this aspect, but other topics are changed. With the meal served, while eating, Li Leiyao also asked curiously, Chen Ang, which college are you going to go to? The 3 major colleges, Chen Ang should be able to go, and if nothing else, Chen Ang should have been contacted by those admissions teachers long ago. Li Chengkong said with a smile. Hearing this, Chen Ang nodded and smiled. Yes, as for the academy, I have already chosen the Wuku Academy. Wuku Academy. Li Leiyao's eyes lit up and she immediately decided. Okay, I'll go too, hee, then we will be classmates again. In this regard, Li Chengkong did not refuse, but said to Chen Ang. When the time comes, Leiyao will have to trouble you to take care of it. I will visit occasionally, she is alone most of the time, and I am not at ease. If you are in the same college, you can be considered a friend. Being around, I feel more at ease. Dad, I'm not a child, I don't need someone to take care of me. When Dad said that, Li Leiyao's face was red and she was a little embarrassed. In this regard, Li Chengkong was very calm. Can you do laundry? Can you cook? Do you know the world? Look, you don't understand, how can I rest assured? It's better to let classmate Chen Ang take care of it. Li Leiyao was silent, seriously thinking about the connection between the first 2 questions and the last question. Of course, in the end she didn't figure it out. And Li Chengkong glared at his silly daughter secretly. Can't you see that the old father is helping you get closer? With your father's words, wouldn't there be an excuse to go to Chen Ang in the future? Silly daughter. Li Chengkong sighed helplessly. Chen Ang could see Li Chengkong's thoughts, but he didn't mind, nodded and said. I will, Uncle Li can rest assured. Okay, I'm relieved with your words, ha ha ha, come on, you're about to graduate anyway, I won't call you classmate Chen Ang anymore, you seem to be born, just call you Xiao Chen, how? No problem at all, ha ha ha, come, Xiao Chen, you are about to go to college. Come and have a drink with your uncle, just to celebrate your graduation, and I want to come here in 2 days and wait for the results of the college entrance examination. You are also a champion, and you should celebrate. Having said that, Li Chengkong poured Chen Ang a bottle of wine. Chen Ang was helpless and could only have a few drinks with this Uncle Li. Night fell, and at 9 o'clock, Chen Ang came out of the drunken fairy house. After letting the night wind blow away some of the alcohol smell from his body, Chen Ang walked in the direction of home. Not long after Chen Ang left, Li Chengkong was the one who walked out of the drunken fairy house with Li Leiyao. Looking at his daughter who was holding a drink and bit her straw for some reason, Li Chengkong sighed and instructed. Xiao Chen's strength is very strong, his temperament is not simple, and his future achievements may be higher than your lousy and me. I just asked him to take care of you and it's not just for fun, so when you go to college, you can go directly to find anything. You know. What? Hearing this, Li Leiyao asked in surprise. Will it be too much trouble for people? Stupid boy, Li Chengkong said in an angry voice. Trouble is trouble, but your dad and I will make up for it later. Do you think your dad and I will let others take care of you for nothing? I want your father, but I don't want to. Li Leiyao snorted suddenly. That's hard to say, I'm so cute, maybe Chen Ang would like it. Ha ha, time flies. 2 days passed. All the materials bought before have been delivered and have been stored in his space ring. This day, GCSE results have been announced. In this world, this is very efficient. Just like what Li Chengkong said before. He has indeed become a champion. But for this aspect, Chen Ang just glanced at it and didn't pay much attention to it. Why? Because in this world, strength is the most important thing. Just a champion, not worthy of being so happy. In contrast, Chen Ang is looking forward to other things. Exactly at this time, dong dong dong, there was a knock on the door. Chen Ang got up and opened the door, and when he saw the person coming, his eyes showed anticipation. Mr. Shaw. Looking at your expression, you should have been waiting for me long ago. Sha Yuwei asked with a smile. Chen Ang nodded without denying it. After inviting Sha Yuwei into the room, Sha Yuwei took out an item and handed it to Chen Ang, saying, "This thing, although it's not very important, I still have to give it to you." Chen Ang took a look and said, "Thank you, Teacher Sha." In hand, it is an admission notice. This thing should not have been delivered right now. However, if Chen Ang wants to enter the academy in advance and enjoy all the functions of the academy that students can enjoy, he can only send it to Chen Ang in advance. You're welcome, it was originally a piggyback, not worth mentioning. And I came to Diwan City for you. The admission notice is delivered to you, which also means that you can go to the Wuku Academy. How, do you want to go now? Hearing this, Chen Ang thought for a while and nodded. Can. Okay, then pack up and come with me. Well, then you wait a moment. Chen Ang went back to the room and started to pack up. Said to clean up, but not much to bring. A few sets of clothes, with some documents, and then enough. After a while, it was done, and then Chen Ang and Sha Yuwei left home and walked in one direction. From one city to the other, or on foot, or take transportation. Either use the flying tool, or use a teleportation array. Wang Jiao, but ordinary people can't use the teleportation array, and the price is very expensive. But Chen Ang doesn't care about it, he and Sha Yuwei are the teleportation array that he intends to use. Convenience, fast and instant arrival. After arriving at the location of the teleportation array, Sha Yuwei thought about it and reminded. The martial arts academy is very big, and I won't be able to go shopping with you one by one, so I'll just send you a guide on my mobile phone. Wherever you want to go, you can find it yourself. Okay, thank you Teacher Sha. You are welcome. Sha Yuwei shook his head and sent the strategy to Chen Ang. After Chen Ang accepted it, he did not rush to check it. Instead, he looked back at Di Wenchengfei first. Then he raised the corners of his mouth, revealing a look of anticipation. Does this count as leaving the novice village? Wuku Academy. Fisher Battlefield. Destroy the world. There's another big secret place after another. Chen Ang has already begun to look forward to it. Wuku Academy is located in Dukui City. That is the capital. At this time, in Dukui City, the teleportation platform area. A blue light flashed by. Immediately after that, two figures appeared on the teleportation platform. There is no doubt that it is Sha Yuwei and Chen Ang. Is this the capital? Chen Ang swept around, his eyes flickered with a bit of surprise. As a capital, it is truly extraordinary. Looking around, not to mention the high-rise buildings in front of you, the aerial tracks and so on are intertwined, full of the sense of technology, but you can also see that many buildings are covered with green wall climbers. Above the head, there are several floating islands suspended, and all kinds of big birds fly overhead. Huge old trees, located all over the capital. At the same time of the future wind, there is still a bit of the breath of nature. Not bad, right? Sha Yuwei asked with a smile. Chen Ang nodded. Okay, there will be time to watch in the future, let's go to the academy first. Sha Yuwei said, with a wave of his hand, a ray of light escaped from Sha Yuwei's forehead and landed in front of him, forming a big bird with black feathers like scales, similar to a crow, a little handsome. This is. Chen Ang's eyes flickered with doubts. Come up first, I'll explain to you later. Sha Yuwei said. Hearing this, Chen Ang jumped up, and the big bird took off immediately. Sha Yuwei also explained it to Chen Ang. It turned out that it was a pet. Talented people can contract pets. Of course, it was not possible at the beginning, but over the years, with the emergence of various worlds, the talented people not only changed the practice method of Otherworld into their own breathing method and thinking, but also included the contract method. In some worlds, in order to control monsters, a training system called contract law was born, and they can sign contracts with monsters and make them fight for themselves. Talented people got the contract law many years ago, and under constant revision, a contract law suitable for gifted people was formed. But the talented people may be because of the particularity of the power system, and all beings can only contract with one beast. However, many talented people don't really care that much about pets. After all, most of the beasts are not strong, and it is difficult to evolve. The main purpose of contracting a pet is to hurry. There is contract law in the academy. If you are interested, you can learn it yourself, but you don't need to pay too much attention to pets. Sha Yue reminded. Ferocious beasts are not our talents after all, and they can continue to evolve their talents to enhance them. Most of the beasts have a fixed upper limit, unless you can contract a real dragon, a phoenix, etc., or you can contract a flying beast. I know, Chen Ang nodded, but there is some anticipation. A real dragon, a phoenix or something is impossible. But getting a Yulong should be no problem, right? It's really not possible. It's not impossible to get a unicorn white tiger or something. Fly with the big bird. Wuku Academy also appeared in Chen Ang's sight. The battlefield area is very large, and it is almost larger than a city before the crossing. Sha Yue smiled. Although pets are not that important, it is still necessary to contract as soon as possible. After all, it is very convenient when you are on the road. In addition, the Wuku Academy is currently divided into 5 areas. 1. The Crack Battlefield Area. 2nd. Destroy the World Region. 3rd. The Secret Realm Area. 4th. The Dormitory Area. The 5th is the Teaching Building and other areas. As he spoke, Sha Yue pointed down and told Chen Ang the locations of different areas. When he arrived at the academy, the big bird under Sha Yue landed in front of a teaching building. Sha Yue said, "I'll take you to see the principal first, and then go to your dormitory. This aspect has been arranged for you. Besides, I can also tell you about your welfare. As a special student, your accommodation and canteen are all free. Besides, 1,000 credits will be given out during the enrollment period. This is the only common currency in the college, and the ratio is 1:1 today. But credits can be exchanged for money, and money cannot be exchanged for credits. But considering your situation, the scholarship that the academy promised you before has already given you all the points, which is a total of 2,001,000 points." Hearing this, Chen Ang was stunned for a moment and asked, "Isn't it 1,000,000? Sha Yue laughed. "Ha ha ha, don't worry, I said that as long as you come to Wuku Academy, all the benefits mentioned earlier will be doubled, and the scholarship is no exception." Saying that, he took out a card and handed it to Chen Ang. "This is your ID card, don't lose it. This thing is equivalent to an ID card and a bank card in the academy, and many things are recorded in it." "Got it. BFCH. Chen Ang nodded, and after taking it, Sha Yue continued. "As for teachers, you also have privileges in this regard. At present, you can choose any teacher who will accept apprentices in the academy. Your information has been sent directly to all teachers. As long as you think it suits you, you can take the initiative to go there. For specific information, you can find it on the school's official website. Materials, resources, and martial arts treasuries, you also have the opportunity to choose twice from each treasury." Although Sha Yue was babbling. But after all, it's all for Chen Ang's welfare, and Chen Ang still listens very seriously. After a while, Sha Yue finished speaking, and began to lead Chen Ang into the teaching building, came to an office door, and knocked on the door. "Dong dong dong, come in." An old voice came. Sha Yue pushed open the door and walked in, followed by Chen Ang. An old man with gray hair was sitting behind his desk. After seeing Chen Ang, he couldn't help but glanced at him with a smile, and nodded with satisfaction. "Yes, boy, you are very good. I saw all your performance in the martial arts exam. It was very good. This time you come to the Wuku Academy, I believe this old man will also be a choice you will not regret." No wonder, Chen Ang thought. When I was in the secret realm of the martial arts test, I had a feeling of being peeped. Feelings are the principles of these colleges. Shaking his head, Chen Ang asked, "Headmaster, are you looking for me for something?" The principal nodded and asked with a smile. "There is something, or it can be said that I want to satisfy my own curiosity. Have your dragon claw talent, and your second talent, have all evolved, and are they still in an unknown direction?" Second talent, don't know the direction yet. Sha Yue didn't know this. Hearing this, he couldn't help looking at Chen Ang in shock. Chen Ang didn't hide it and nodded. Yes, hiss. Seeing Chen Ang nod, Sha Yue immediately took a deep breath. Chen Ang's dragon claw talent and evolution he knows. But he didn't know the second talent, and he didn't even know that it had evolved into an unknown talent. This is simply outrageous. Chen Ang was already enchanting enough in his eyes. But now, he feels that he is more evil than evil. To know that it is not easy for ordinary people to reach the level of Chen Ang, but I did not expect that they can successfully explore an unknown evolutionary direction. The headmaster's eyes also flickered, nodded and said, "No wonder. Okay, I get it. Go on, kid. If you need anything, you can tell Teacher Shaw. I look forward to your progress and performance in the academy." He waved his hand and let Chen Ang leave. Know everything you need to know. Also inspired. As an old man, I also know that young people don't like to waste time in such small talk. Knowing that Chen Ang has just come to Wuku Academy, there may be many places he wants to go. Just the next moment, he seemed to think of something, the corner of his mouth twitched, and he waved his hand. "By the way, you are the most powerful student this year. When you come to the Wuku Academy, as the principal, I can't help but express my opinion. Well, I will give you this thing. Hope you can use it." A stone appeared out of nowhere. After Chen Ang took it, his pupils shrank slightly. "Talent stone." The principal smiled and nodded. "Elemental." Hiss. Chen Ang was even more shocked. Elemental talent stone. Gee, this is relatively rare. In fact, Chen Ang has always wanted to get an elemental talent. But at least for now, Chen Ang is in no rush, acquiring the third talent. Talented people, it is definitely impossible to have only 2 talents. In fact, a talent can only acquire 5 talents at most. But it doesn't mean that everyone will have so many talents. Most people have 1 or 2 talents enough to use, and will not go to acquire new talents. Why? Because it costs too much money. Every time you evolve, you must look at resources. Must collect resources. 1 talent is fine, but for the vast majority of people, 2 talents are already overwhelming. It should be noted that each talent must evolve for the talent. If you don't evolve, you might as well not acquire this talent. But if you want to evolve, you will slow down your rhythm and delay the evolution of your first talent. All in all, for many people, the less talent is acquired, the better. Chen Ang didn't care about this, he just wasn't in a hurry at the moment. Looking at the talent stone in his hand, Chen Ang was silent for a moment, then cupped his hands. "Thank you, headmaster." "Ha ha ha, go ahead, you're welcome." The principal laughed and waved. Sha Yue left with Chen Ang. Walking out of the office, Sha Yue said with a little envy. "Tisk tisk, the principal is so kind to you, I want this too." "I didn't think so either." Chen Ang murmured, "Can't guess the principal's purpose. Pure admiration for the younger generation. Or investment. Maybe more of the former." Without words, Chen Ang followed Sha Yue out of the teaching building and came to the dormitory area. As the dormitory area of Wuku Academy, it is said to be a dormitory, but it is basically a villa. Sha Yue said, "Ordinary students basically have 4 people in a villa, with their own swimming pools and other facilities, but the school is more optimistic about you, so you are in one building, located at number 101, District A. It's here. Bring it to the destination," Sha Yue reminded. "Without the key, you can open the door by taking out your ID card." "I won't go in, there are still many things to do, so I'll go first. Anyway, we have contact information. If you have any questions, please contact me when you have any questions." "Okay, then I'll trouble Teacher Shaw." Chen Ang thanked him. "You're welcome." Sha Yue stopped, turned around and left. Chen Ang stopped talking nonsense and stepped into the villa. What he didn't know was that after Sha Yue left, he immediately took out his mobile phone and entered a discussion group to initiate a message. "Everyone, I have brought Chen Ang back to school. Chen Ang, Is that the champion? The first in this class of freshmen? I heard that he is also the strongest. Hey, gossip, Tongshi is not that guy's opponent. Hey, I also have the grapevine, I heard that the principal is very optimistic about him. Is this kid so powerful? Tongshi is no match, so I'm a little interested. Even the principal is optimistic. I'm afraid the qualifications are really powerful. I don't know if I need to be a teacher. I also want this kind of apprentice. Even the principal is optimistic. How can I get 8th rank in the future? It will be a lot of face to talk about it at that time. Who doesn't want to? But for apprenticeship, it depends on whether it is suitable or not. Does anyone know what the talent of this champion is? Sha Yue grinned and immediately sent a message. The first talent, Dragon Claw, has evolved. Yes, it is the 3rd rank. The second talent is unknown, and it is an unknown direction. You can figure it out for yourself. Finish sending the message. Sha Yue turned off the phone directly. You don't need to look at him to know that these 3 words alone are enough to shock all the teachers in the school. It can be said with certainty that these 3 sentences can clearly express how terrifying Chen Ang's potential is, and I am afraid that all teachers will be moved by him. Chen Ang could not have imagined that his name entered the ears of all the teachers when he just entered the school. At this time, Chen Ang was just walking around the villa. Don't say it, it's really good. The environment is very good, all kinds of facilities are complete. Chen Ang is very satisfied. After tidying up the master bedroom, I came to the living room and took out my mobile phone to log on to the school website. Next, what to do? Chen Ang murmured in his heart. As his eyes flickered, he also checked the secret realm in the Wuku Academy. There are not many secret realms in Wuku Academy, but there are not many. 8 mysteries, a cracked battlefield, 4 fallen world entrances. Why don't you go and see the fallen world first? Chen Ang muttered. What is the fallen world like? Chen Ang was very curious. As for the rest, he was in no hurry. Because there will be opportunities in the future. Thinking of this, Chen Ang got up and walked out of the villa. By the way, use the strategy that Sha Yue sent to him before to find out where the world of destruction is. After a while, Chen Ang found his way and went straight. When Chen Ang arrived, he found that there were students here, but not many people. That's right. After all, it's vacation time. I'm afraid many students have left the college. Chen Ang thought to himself, and looked forward at the same time. The destruction world, the Fisher battlefield, and the secret realm entrance are all in one location. In the sky ahead, there is a huge opening, which is the entrance of the cracked battlefield. Below are 8 huge ancient trees, each of which has a colorful portal, which is the entrance to the secret realm. In front of the big tree, there are portals that are quietly suspended in the void, which is the entrance to the world of destruction. There are guards in front of each entrance. Let's take a look inside this one first. Chen Ang chose number 1 to destroy the world. But it's not free. Enter once, 10,000 credits. Expensive. Just like the secret realm outside, you will need 10,000 credits when you come out. But the gains inside can also be used for credits. 0. It looks a bit raw, but be careful, it's still very dangerous in the world of destruction. The caretaker will remind you when the credits are collected. After Chen Ang smiled and thanked, he stepped into the portal. It's the same feeling when entering the secret realm. A faint sense of dizziness struck. When he opened his eyes again, the scene in front of him came into view, which shocked Chen Ang. This is the world after the fall. Look around. There are cracks all over the world, as if about to shatter. The sky was blood red, but not clear blue. The dust is scorched yellow, and it has experienced war after war. As far as the eye can see, there is no life, only pieces of ruins. Suddenly, the roar came from behind Chen Ang. Look back. Chen Ang's eyes flickered. It was a group of red-skinned creatures with triangular forks in their hands and magic horns on their heads. Demon, that is to say, is the destruction of this world because of the invasion of demon civilization. Chen Ang suddenly sneered in his heart. About 7 or 8 little demons found Chen Ang, and even took Chen Ang as their prey and rushed towards Chen Ang. Before a little devil arrived, he opened his mouth and spewed out a fireball. Seeing this, Chen Ang's heart moved. The scales covered Chen Ang at a speed visible to the naked eye. The breath of death permeates. Just right, I haven't killed anyone for a while, so let's move your lower tibia first. With a murmur, Chen Ang waved his right hand. The flag gun appeared in his hand, and a dragon's might exploded. Under the outbreak of Longwei, the little devils had a brief absence, and their faces showed fear. Chen Ang picked up the dragon spear and smashed the fireball with a poochie sound, then stepped out and charged quickly. But in an instant, he came to the little devils. At this time, the little devils also came back to their senses. Wielding a weapon and speaking a language that is completely incomprehensible is about to attack Chen Ang. But it was too late. Die. Chen Ang spoke coldly. The dragon spear was covered with the breath of death, and a spear stabbed out. Puff. A little devil was pierced through his head on the spot and turned into a bone under the engulfment of the dragon's breath. And Chen Ang didn't stop at all. After pulling out his spear, he swept away with another shot. Wherever they passed, 5 or 6 little demons were directly hit, and the place where they hit was burned with dragon breath, spreading towards their bodies. The little demons let out a painful sound, screamed and rolled on the ground. 077 eventually died under the burning of the dragon's breath. Only the last little devil saw this scene, and his eyes were even more terrifying. How dare he fight Chen Ang? He turned around and wanted to escape. The corners of Chen Ang's mouth twitched, and he raised his dragon spear and shot it out like a black meteor. Puff. Blood splashes. The little devil was pierced by the dragon spear from behind his head and nailed to the ground on the spot. It's hard to beat. But that's right, after all, it's just a little devil. Chen Ang murmured. Little devils can only be regarded as cannon fodder in the demon civilization, and it is normal for them to be weak. Demons symbolize destruction, invasion. No wonder the world is falling apart. Shaking his head, Chen Ang's heart moved slightly, and when he looked around, hints appeared in his eyes. There is a demon tribe in this direction. There are only a dozen little demons and a fire demon, but there is a lava fruit in the tribe. A ruin that collapsed due to the fire of war. You may see the bones in the ruins, but not the treasure. There is a ruin here. It used to be a pharmacy room. Many potions were damaged due to collapse. Only 1 bottle of highly toxic potion and 1 bottle of strong potion remain. The demon corpses wandering in this area, they are originally the creatures of this world. Because they were slaughtered and occupied by the demonic energy, they turned into demon corpses without the slightest emotion and only know how to kill. Devil tribe. And potions. Chen Ang touched his chin in thought. There are 2 directions to go. After careful consideration, Chen Ang decided to go to the ruins first. After all, the tribe was there, and the ruins were closer. It's just that Chen Ang just left not long ago. A figure entered the line of sight, making Chen Ang puzzled. What is that? Werewolf. In the sight, it is indeed a werewolf, not a demon. He was not engulfed by demonic energy, just like Chen Ang, who came to this world to collect items. When the werewolf saw Chen Ang, he didn't panic. Instead, he handed over to Chen Ang and turned away. Seeing this, Chen Ang was even more puzzled. In this world, apart from talents and demons, are there other creatures? But it looks like that guy doesn't seem to be the descendant of the remaining creatures in this world. Did he come in from the martial arts academy? Or are there entrances from other worlds? Strange. Weird indeed. Chen Ang didn't understand first, so he simply didn't want to. Since the other party is not hostile, Chen Ang is too lazy to kill. After heading straight for the ruins, Chen Ang found the ruins in about 5 minutes. Immediately stepped into it and used the gold finger to find the location of the potion. Not here, on your right. You should take 2 more steps forward. A little further to the right. Yes, the potion is 2 meters below the ruins in front of you, please dig carefully. Found it. The corners of Chen Ang's mouth twitched, and he immediately digged carefully with his dragon claws. Because of being too careful, Chen Ang dug for about 10 minutes before finally finding the potion. 2 bottles. Very poisonous potion. A pharmacist wanted to poison the gods, so he collected various highly toxic materials and made this potion, but unfortunately it could not poison the gods, but poisoned the apothecary himself. However, please note that this bottle feels that the poison of the potion is really strong, and if it is below the 5th rank, it will kill you if you touch it. Strengthening potion. You should know by the name, this is a potion that can strengthen the body. Good guy. Seeing the prompt in front of him, Chen Ang couldn't help but light up. Needless to say about the potion. This highly toxic drug is a bit outrageous. Although poison can't kill the gods, but if you touch it below the 5th rank, the poison is too terrifying. When Chen Ang put it away, he seemed to be cautious, for fear of being touched by himself after it shattered. As for the strength potion, after succeeding, Chen Ang opened the cork and drank it in one gulp. A warm feeling swept through the body. But after a while, Chen Ang noticed the improvement brought by the potion, although the improvement was not big. Chen Ang. Body. 622 Pull. 1000. Force. 619 Pull. 1000. Min. 618 Extreme. 1000. Essence. 615 Extreme. 1000. In addition to spiritual attributes, all are enhanced by 10 points. Not bad. Chen Ang nodded in satisfaction. Next, it's the demon tribe. After speaking, Chen Ang was about to turn around and leave. But at this moment, whoosh, the sound of breaking air came from behind. Chen Ang sneered and turned back suddenly, his right hand turned into a dragon arm to block in front of him. Clang, sparks fly. A lion man slashed Chen Ang with a large knife, but did not cause any harm to Chen Ang. Seeing this, the lion man's face also showed a look of surprise, but then he sneered, took a few steps back and opened the distance, and then threatened. Hand over what you just got from the ruins, and I can spare your life. Oh, Chen Ang squinted his eyes, cold light flashed, and sneered. You too. To be honest, he didn't seem to have been attacked in a while. But not important. Anyway, the people who attacked him were dead. It seems that he felt the killing intent of Chen Ang, and the lion man was even more disdainful. I'm a follower of His Royal Highness Zheng Wei, you'd better consider whether you want to take action against me. Zheng Wei. Chen Ang's eyes flickered, and a prompt appeared in front of him. A lion from Otherworld, whose strength is barely comparable to yours, but at the same time, he is also a follower of one of your senior sisters. Sister. Chen Ang was stunned and stepped out at the same time. Whoosh. The figure disappeared instantly. The lion man's pupils shrank suddenly, feeling shocked, and even a faint trace of panic appeared. Aren't you afraid of His Highness Zheng Wei's revenge? Is this your confidence? Chen Ang's voice suddenly sounded from behind. The lion man turned back sharply, and he was about to slash out. But what greeted it was only Chen Ang's icy gaze and the waving dragon claws. Clang. Dragon claws wave. The knife broke. Chen Ang's dragon claws kept on, and suddenly covered the lion's head. Senior sister or senior. I never took it to heart. After all, murder doesn't distinguish between identity. After speaking, Chen Ang's power exploded. Lion head splits in dragon claws. Chapter 91. Follower, what is it? After killing the lion man, Chen Ang murmured in his heart. In the Wuku Academy, can there still be followers? It's a little strange. He took out his mobile phone and looked at the guide that Xia Yue sent him, and it seemed that there was no introduction in this regard. Forget it, just ask him when you leave. Chen Ang thought so, shook his head, got up and went to the location of the demon tribe. Kung Fu in a short while. Chen Ang arrives at the destination. The demon tribe is very eye-catching. Although it looks like a small tribe, there are quite a few little demons in it, and there is even a burly fire demon with a body size of 2 or 3 meters, which is covered in flames. The strength of the little devil is generally weak, only about the 1st rank. But the strength of this fire demon is 2nd order. Okay, Chen Ang murmured, got up and walked out. Demons are very sensitive. The moment Chen Ang walked out, he noticed him, and the fire demon roared immediately, then waved his hand, and a huge fireball struck with scalding temperature. Chen Ang twisted his neck, ducked sideways, then grinned with a bright smile and opened his mouth. A dark dragon breath gushed out. But in an instant, some little demons who wanted to rush over to kill him were swallowed up. Look at women and men. There is a little devil who speaks incomprehensible language, seems to be in fear, and seems to be angry. Under the breath of the dragon, 7 or 8 little demons died. But under the roar of the fire demon, the remaining little demons once again gathered up their courage and rushed up. Chen Ang's body was covered with dragon scales, which stimulated his talent, and a handful of dragon soldiers were also condensed in his hands. A little devil suddenly exploded in speed, like an afterimage. The nonsense that I can't understand, it's really noisy. Chen Ang said in a cold voice. After one twisted to avoid the attack of the little devil, the dragon soldier waved powerfully and smashed away. The little devil's head was shredded on the spot. Hu Kai. The sound of breaking air came. Chen Ang looked up. It's Fire Demon. The devil's body was full of flames, as if he had transformed into a flame giant, waving a huge flame fist to smash it. Die. Chen Ang was not afraid at all, opened his mouth, and spewed out a mouthful of dragon breath. Fight with that fire fist. But only for a moment. The dragon breath engulfed all the flames on the fire fist and began to cover the body of the fire demon. Painful screams came from the fire demon's mouth. Seeing this, some little devils around them hurriedly wanted to take the opportunity to kill Chen Ang. Boom! One by one, a dragon's might erupted. The little demons were directly shocked and had a brief absence. It was also at this moment that Chen Ang increased his strength, and the dragon breath completely engulfed the fire demon like a black torrent. When Chen Ang cancelled the dragon's breath, there was no fire demon figure that appeared in front of Chen Ang, but a fiery red bead core instead. Fire bead. Material. 5,000 apiece. Chen Ang nodded happily. But then he looked at the little demons who had returned to God, and breathed out a dragon breath again. After a minute, all the demons died in the hands of Chen Ang. Tisk. Dragon breath is really useful. Chen Ang grinned. This is Chen Ang's only long-range attack method, but it is extremely useful. Especially Qing Xiaoguai, it is simply a mouthful. Under the torrent, everything is gone. Even fire demons can still be killed. Unfortunately, there is only one fire magic bead material, and there is no material on these little demons. Chen Ang spoke regretfully, but still raised his foot and walked towards the demon tribe. When his eyes flickered, a prompt appeared in front of him. A pile of messy and useless garbage. The little devils like to collect this kind of thing. The wreckage left by the fire demon after eating it. Don't look, this is where the little devils rest. Yes, did you see that pile of fruits? Collected by the little devils, there is a lava fruit among them. Chen Ang's face showed joy, and he immediately stepped forward to rummage. After a while, Chen Ang found the hot lava fruit in his hand. Even if it is a round fruit, the color is the same as lava. This thing belongs to the treasures of heaven and earth. But unfortunately Chen Ang can't use it, because the role of lava fruit is not to enhance physical fitness. It is a talent that slightly enhances the fire attribute. But if you take it out, you can get a good price. Chen Ang thought so, put it away, and then turned around to leave. After walking out of the demon tribe, Chen Ang looked around in different directions and murmured in his heart. Let me see where to go next. A vast and boundless plain. It is actually difficult for you to find good things in this direction, but if you want to hone your combat ability, you can choose to go here. The mountains are full of traces of demons, but there are also many good things hidden deep in them. A dragon man is being chased and killed. You can get her gratitude and repayment by saving it. Opening parenthesis ... closing parenthesis. Dragon man. There was a hint of surprise in Chen Ang's eyes. Dragons are also one of the races of the otherworld. I heard that the race was born after the union of dragons and humans. After all, dragons are inherently promiscuous, and giant dragons are definitely top of the line when it comes to venting their desires. As long as the desire comes, it doesn't matter what creature is in front of you, as long as it is a female. Fly in the sky, run on the ground, swim in the sea. There is no giant dragon that dare not go up. In this regard, you can see all kinds of dragon beasts by looking at all kinds of yulongs. It's just that in this annihilated world, how come there are even dragon people? Are you also a follower? Chen Ang was puzzled, but still walked in this direction. There's nothing good in the other direction anyway. At the same time, on a rubble, a woman with long fiery red hair, covered by scarlet dragon scales in parts of her body, and a pair of dragon horns on her head was running all the way. Blood was flowing from many parts of her body. From the look on her face, you could see her current situation. Not good. Behind him, two figures followed closely. One person looked at the woman with greed in his eyes. One person sneered. Dragon girl, I advise you to surrender. If you are seriously injured and can't run far, stay, hand over your belongings and follow us, we can spare your life. Ha ha ha, yes, this place is very far from the exit, you can't escape. HMPH, you want me to follow you just because of your rubbish. Bah. The dragon girl turned back, her eyes flashing with disdain. If it wasn't for me fighting that Yanmo and getting injured, old lady could be crushed to death with one hand. HMPH, I don't know whether to live or die. Hearing this, cold killing intent flashed in the eyes of the two behind them. But at this moment, the dragon girl looked forward and found a figure. Stranger. Face raw, never seen. The eyes are not annoying either. You can ask for help. The moment she saw this figure, the dragon girl's thoughts flew, and she immediately shouted. Your Excellency, if you kill me, I will definitely thank you. This figure is naturally Chen Ang. Chen Ang, who had just arrived, had not had time to look at the dragon girl when he heard such a sentence and couldn't help but ask with a smile. How to thank you? How about a leaf of the enlightenment tree? Really? Chen Ang's eyes suddenly became serious. Really? The dragon girl also nodded seriously. Behind him, when the two men heard their conversation, their expressions changed slightly, and one of them roared. Where's the ignorant guy? Get out, or I'll kill you together. Yes, hearing this, Chen Ang's mouth slowly lifted, looking at the dragon girl and said calmly. Remember what you said. After speaking, Chen Ang looked away and landed on the two of them. Step out, covered with dragon scales. The dragon spear in his hand is condensed. A surge of dragon power erupted, and Chen Ang disappeared in place. But in the eyes of the dragon girl, a shocking color emerged. There is a faint excitement in it. Court death. Seeing Chen Ang dared to take the initiative to attack. A man roared, and his body suddenly turned into a violent giant bear. He was bathed in the power of the earth. He waved his palm and attacked, with an amazing momentum, and even the air burst. But Chen Ang sneered and stabbed straight away without fear. Above the spear tip, there are layers of dragon breath and armor breaking. The power of terror did not hold back in the slightest. Hit by hit, boom, the waves erupted. It seemed as if they were evenly matched and could not stand still. But then, how is this possible? The man's eyes widened, as if he had discovered something incredible, and his tone was full of disbelief. And Chen Ang's dragon soldier actually began to break through the power of the earth between his palms, and with a puff, pierced directly into the bear's paw. The dragon's breath began to spread and burn wildly, and the power of life was continuously deprived. The bear's paw sheds its flesh at a rate visible to the naked eye. What? A shrill scream rang out. The man quickly put his hand away and wanted to step back. How could Chen Ang miss this opportunity? With a sneer, he attacked. Die. A cold word came out of his mouth, and Chen Ang shot through it. Puff. Directly pierced through the opponent's head. When Chen Ang pulled out the dragon spear, and brought out the red and white things, the dragon breath burned in his mind. But in an instant, the man's eyes widened, and his body fell to the ground, turning into a corpse that was gradually cold and completely deprived of its vitality. How is this possible? The accomplices beside him saw that his partner died so easily, and their faces were full of disbelief. But when he came back to his senses, he showed a look of panic. His strength is similar to that of his accomplices. It is so easy for the opponent to kill his accomplices, doesn't it mean that it is just as easy to kill himself? Gollum. He swallowed his saliva and waved his hand violently. Strong winds swept through, kicking up dust. Immediately afterwards, he seized the opportunity without hesitation and quickly turned around and fled into the distance. How could it be possible for you to escape? Chen Ang said coldly. With a move in his heart, the dragon spear disappeared. Then Chen Ang stepped out and quickly chased after him. It's more refreshing to use fists. Chen Ang thought to himself. After all, the use of weapons also requires moves, routines, and even skills, but he doesn't know it at all. He can't fully display the advantage in his hand, and it is far less enjoyable than the bombardment of two fists. Therefore, Chen Ang pondered that when he left the world of destruction, he would have to study it for himself. But right now, killing first is the most important thing. The light in his eyes flickered. Chen Ang had already caught up behind the man, the dragon claws clenched into fists, and he blasted out. Go away. The man turned back and roared, his arms shook, and a gust of wind shrouded him, as if forming a barrier to block Chen Ang's attack. But the power that Chen Ang burst out was even more terrifying. Under one punch, the wind barrier shattered with a click sound. The fist further landed on the man's back, squirting out a mouthful of blood, and at the same time his face was pale, it also flew out, and smashed a big hole on the ground in the distance. Dust rises. Chen Ang's eyes were cold and his speed exploded, and Yuruo's afterimages attacked. The breathing room has reached the pit. The dust has not yet dissipated. Suddenly, a roar sounded. Death to me! The man roared, and punched Chen Ang from the dust. Above his fist, there was a poisonous dragon drill that was condensed by the gust of wind, with the power of cutting. The timing is good. It can only be said that the students of the Wuku Academy are not weak, and their combat experience is strong enough. But, that's all. Whispering inwardly, Chen Ang raised his hand and tore it apart with one claw. Under the urging of the tearing claw. Rip! The wind ripped apart. Blood splashes. Painful voices sounded. The attacking arm was also torn off under the tearing claw. No, impossible. The man was in pain, and he couldn't believe the scene that he was so easily shattered by a full-strength blow. But when looking at Chen Ang's icy eyes, fear appeared again and he begged for mercy again and again. Let me go. Please, let me go. There is a treasure in my space ring, I will give it to you if you let me go. Heard. Chen Ang spoke softly. You made a mistake and killed you, and these things are also mine. After speaking, Chen Ang waved his claws again. The tearing claw was activated again. The explosive force brought about by that terrifying power increase almost completely distorted the air. It's like space-time is torn apart. No, 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 no. If you want to kill me, then you can kill me too. In desperation, the man lost his mind and roared desperately, the wind howling on his body wrapped his body, turning into a fierce tiger and attacking. But Chen Ang's power is too strong. Rip, puff. The tearing claws tore a huge opening in the gust of wind that enveloped the whole body, then entered it and landed on the man. The powerful force ripped open 3 deep wounds from the forehead to the abdomen, and the bones connected to the body were torn. One hit. The man's eyes widened, and his vitality disappeared in an instant. The wind also disappeared. Bang! The man turned into a corpse, fell to the ground, and died. The expression on Chen Ang's face did not fluctuate at all, but turned back to look at the dragon girl. Haven't left yet. This reassured Chen Ang, so that he would not have to go after him later. I helped you solve these 2 people, what about what you promised me? Chen Ang asked. Heard. Long Envy recovered from the shock. After looking at the 2 corpses on the ground, she took a deep breath, and then excitedly trotted to Chen Ang and stretched out her hand. A leaf appeared in the palm. The familiar breath came to Chen Ang's eyes. Sure enough, it was the same breath as the remnant leaves of the enlightenment tree that he smelled at the beginning. Clear mind, very comfortable. At the beginning, he also relied on the residual leaves of this thing, and realized that he had entered the tearing claw. Unexpectedly, he actually got a complete leaf now. Although, of Zhao Zhao, these words may sound miserable, after all, the real treasure on the tree of enlightenment is the fruit of enlightenment. But where is that thing he can get now? A leaf is already very good. Yes, it's quite trustworthy. Chen Ang nodded with satisfaction, and then asked, why are you being chased by these 2 guys? Of course it's because of the leaves of the enlightenment tree. The dragon girl said angrily. I originally discovered the leaves of the enlightenment tree, but there were only 3 leaves, but because there was an Enma guard, I could only do my best to kill the Enma. Who knows that just after killing, these 2 guys jumped out, if you want me to follow them, not to mention, I even want to take the leaves of the enlightenment tree. After killing Yan Mo, I didn't have any fighting power. If I had no choice, I could only run away. Fortunately, I met you. Hearing this, Chen Ang frowned slightly. A follower again. What the hell is this follower? You do not know. The dragon girl looked at Chen Ang in surprise. Chen Ang was even more puzzled. Should I know? No, you are so strong, you should know it. The dragon girl looked confused. Chen Ang asked, why do you say that? Because all the students in the academy who think they have potential will be informed by their tutors. Long Nu explained. Hearing this, Chen Ang was suddenly stunned. That's it, it's all right. What's wrong? Because I don't have a mentor yet. Chen Ang spread his hands. He's a freshman in this class, but the school hasn't started yet. Where are the tutors? If nothing else, this kind of thing was originally waiting for the school to start, and someone would come to inform him. No mentor yet, how is that possible? The dragon girl was shocked. Chen Ang explained. After listening to Chen Ang's explanation, Long Envy was stunned, but then she was even more shocked. You can come to the college before school starts. This means that the college attaches great importance to it. Otherwise, even if he came to the academy, he would not be qualified to step into the world of destruction. After all, this is one of the important resources of the college. Do you want me to tell you? The dragon girl asked. Chen Ang certainly doesn't mind this. That's the best, I'm actually curious about this. Hearing, Long Envy stopped talking nonsense and immediately explained. You should know that the cultivation system of each world is different, right? Okay, I know. The world where Chen Ang lives can be said to be the world of talented people. But outside the talent world, there are other worlds. Like the mages of the Wengxing Pagoda, they came from another world. In addition to the world, there are many innumerable worlds. In any world with extraordinary power, the cultivation system may be the same, but most of them are different. Some are magic, some are grudges, some are beasts. There are also body training and so on. Of course, the talent-based world is a unique example. The dragon girl continued. In your talent world, the weak are fine, but the powerful talents, if they want to become stronger and grow to the level of the world master, will more or less recruit followers in the early stage. 5. Why is that? Chen Ang frowned slightly, a little confused. The dragon girl smiled and asked. Why do you think the world lord is called the world lord? Chen Ang shook his head. The dragon girl said, because the boundary master is the master of a world, and there is also a world that continuously provides power for him. BFCH, you can understand the boundary master is a god-level powerhouse. The gods have a kingdom of gods, and the world within the main body of the world is the kingdom of gods. It's just that the world within the realm is different from the kingdom of God in that it must be a complete world, with mountains, rivers and lakes, various laws, life and death, and so on. Generally speaking, it will take a long time to have all of these available. So a long time ago, a strong person in your gifted world came up with a concept. Chen Ang's eyes flickered, and he asked quickly. What concept? If the world lord opens up a world in his body, can he put the resources of other worlds into it, and let himself be born with the law? For example, move a mineral from the outside and put it in, and let it give birth to the law of gold, move a lake into it, and give birth to the law of water, etc. And in the end, it was found that the concept was feasible. But the speed is still not fast enough. Therefore, in the case of expanding their thinking, there are strong people who put life into their own world, and let life develop in this world, multiply, and then become stronger. The creatures in this world will also cultivate in the process of becoming stronger. During cultivation, they will subconsciously and naturally comprehend various elements. These comprehensions will lead to the continuous enhancement of the laws of the world and the expansion of the world. 5. Understood. After saying this, Chen Ang immediately understood. Therefore, the talented person can become the world master even if he does not want to be a follower. But after becoming a world master, the stronger the world in the body, the stronger the world master itself will be. The strength of the world depends on the law. The cultivation of life naturally strengthens these laws. After the world is created in the body, the natural birth of life takes too long, and many people cannot afford it or wait. Simply take a shortcut. Directly snatch life from other worlds into your own world, integrate into your own world, and let these people strengthen the laws of their own world through cultivation, development, and comprehension. In this way, the realm's own strength will also be greatly improved and increased. No wonder, Chen Ang suddenly realized, no wonder the world lord would call this name. The body is a world of its own, so the title of world master is quite appropriate. So, these followers are the beings who will settle in after the talented people become world masters in the future. Chen Ang asked. You can say it this way. The dragon girl explained it to Chen Ang in more detail. Generally speaking, there is no life willing to leave their own world and go to a strange world that has just been born. But there are many worlds, as many as stars, and there are always some worlds that have run out of resources or are in danger of extinction. At the same time, there are also some beings whose world limits are there. Even if they can't reach a higher level no matter how much they practice in it, they will choose to settle in the world of the world master. And the stronger the world master, the better the world, and the higher the upper limit. It's just that the existence of the World Master does not need so-called followers. Ordinary life is not qualified to talk to him. So, no need to go on. Chen Ang also understood. So choose those who seem to have the ability to become world masters and to open up a powerful world, and become their followers. To put it bluntly, it is to invest in the future of oneself and the same ethnic group. If the investment is good, the entire ethnic group can soar to the sky. If the investment is not good, it is not only a waste of time, but also a consumption of the future. For the world master, a strong follower can also make it stronger. So in the major academies in the talented world, in order to make it easier for many Tianzhou to choose their followers, many years ago, they reached cooperation with the worlds that were about to perish or had intentions. Chen Ang raised his eyebrows and said softly, "This cooperation is to allow existences like you to come to the academy, get in touch with those geniuses, and become followers." Yes. The dragon girl nodded. But strictly speaking, when the gifted choose us, we are also choosing the gifted. After all, talented people need powerful and qualified followers. And we, too, need powerful and qualified world masters. Chen Ang nodded. That's right. It's a two-way choice. It is also a kind of competition. Those are the good races. If you want to be recognized by the other party, you have to show your own skills. What about you? Who did you follow in the academy? Chen Ang asked. The dragon girl shook her head. I have no followers. In the Wuku Academy, no one has ever caught my eye before. But now, maybe there is. Saying that, the dragon girl raised her head and stared at Chen Ang with a burning gaze. Although Chen Ang has always been quite confident in himself. But when faced with dragon girl's gaze, he couldn't help pointing to himself, and said in amazement. You mean, me? Yes. The dragon girl nodded. Chen Ang's face was full of doubts. Why? HMPH, I'm a dragon man. The dragon girl said proudly. Even if it's not a real giant dragon, the arrogance of the dragon people does not allow other races to be above their heads. Except for the giant dragon, the ones we dragon people are willing to follow are people with the same bloodline of the giant dragon. And you, I can feel it, you have the breath of a giant dragon in your body, even the breath of death. You are the only person I found in Wuku Academy who can have such a strong dragon attribute aura. So you're probably the best fit person to follow. Hearing this, Chen Ang's mouth twitched. To be honest, I just feel that other talented people are not worthy of being followed by you. Feeling a dragon also has the pride of a dragon. However, Chen Ang shook his head and said, even if you say so, I have no idea of making you my follower. Hearing this, Long Nu frowned. Why, my strength is very strong, maybe not as good as you, but among my family, my potential is the best, and I can grow up and fight for you in the future. And my appearance, even if it is your human aesthetic, should be considered good. At least many human women are not as beautiful as me, nor are they in good shape. Saying that, the dragon girl raised her chest and promised. If you want, I can still serve you. Is it so open? Chen Ang was startled. Then he smiled wryly, shook his head, and said, not really, but I like to walk alone, and even if I have friends, I am alone most of the time. And the world master you mentioned seems to be too far away from me at present. When I grow to that stage, I don't know when I will go. Although I am confident that I can become a world master, is also considered then, not now. Hearing this, the dragon girl suddenly realized. But then, the dragon girl laughed. It doesn't matter, I can wait, anyway, as long as you are willing to let us become your followers at that time. That's not impossible, Chen Ang said with a light smile. So, you agreed. The dragon girl rejoiced. Chen Ang shrugged. It's a promise to you, if I really need followers, then I will choose you. Hey, that's fine. A happy smile appeared on Long Nu's face, and then she seemed to remember something, and patted her forehead quickly. By the way, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Shavana, how about you? You, is this all honorific? And why is this name so familiar? Chen Ang slandered in his heart, but on the surface, he immediately introduced himself. Chen Ang. Okay, I have remembered your name, from now on, I will call you Your Highness. Whatever. Chen Ang didn't care about these, just glanced at Shavana who was covered in wounds and reminded. You should leave the fallen world now and go back to heal, otherwise I'm afraid you will die here. That's right, but Your Highness, can you tell me where you live? After you leave the fallen world, I can find you. Well, okay, Villa 101 in Area A in the dormitory area. Okay, I've made a note, then, Your Highness, goodbye. Shyvana happily got up and prepared to leave. She came to the world of the gifted, actually for a while. And the world she lives in fact, the resources are almost exhausted, and it belongs to the world that is about to self-destruct. If she does not find a new world, then her ethnic group can only choose to become a vassal race of other civilizations if she wants to survive. The dragon family is not far from this. So let her come here to find a suitable king for the dragon people. In Shyvana's view, Chang'e is definitely the best choice. Because only the dragon can surpass the dragon. Although Chang'e did not promise to make her a follower now, but did not refuse either. She believed that sooner or later, the other party would be willing. Moreover, students who can make Wuku Academy open to the other party's various facilities and even important resources in advance can see the other party's talent and aptitude. She has been in the gifted world for so long, and she has learned many things. She was very sure that Chang'e must be a monster above Tianzhou. Following such a king may be a fortunate thing for the dragon clan. But before leaving, Shyvana thought of something and asked back. His Royal Highness, you should be entering this world of destruction for the first time, right? Yes, what's wrong? Chang'e was still groping for the space ring on the two corpses, and he couldn't help raising his head after hearing this. Shyvana quickly reminded. His Royal Highness, you may not know that when this world of destruction was opened, the principal of the Academy said that in this world of destruction, there is an extremely precious and rare treasure, but what is that treasure, and where is it? No one is there. No. No one has been able to find it yet. The principal only said that this treasure is the most suitable for the talented, there is no one. 0.0. You can try to find it. Hearing this, Chang'e's expression moved slightly, and he touched his chin and murmured in surprise. Vital treasure, and the most suitable for the gifted. Being able to be said by the principal, it is not difficult for him to infer how powerful this thing is. Okay, I see, thanks for reminding me. No, even if I don't say it, you will know when the school starts. In short, I will leave first. Please be careful, Your Highness. Saying that, Shyvana placed her right hand across her chest and bowed 90 degrees in a salute. In this regard, Chang'e looked helpless, but he did not refuse. After that, Shyvana left. Chang'e sat cross-legged on the spot, his eyes twinkling. Is it a treasure? Tisk, the world is so big, I don't know if I can meet it. Although curious, but Chang'e couldn't wait until this thing, so he shook his head, stopped thinking about it, and turned his eyes to the two space rings in his hand. Of course it belonged to the two men. Mental force touch, dive into it. Immediately, a look of joy appeared in Chang'e's eyes. Tisk, there really is something good. Two space rings. Basically, all of them are materials, as well as some materials and books. But at the same time, there are two natural treasures. Two fruits of different colors and shapes. Dark spirit fruit. And this one is a blood essence peach. Good. Holding the dark spirit fruit, Chang'e swallowed it. Then practice the breathing method and refine it. But a quarter of an hour. The effect of the dark spirit fruit disappeared, followed by the blood essence peach. This thing looks like a peach, but it is blood red and contains a strong power of qi and blood. After Chang'e took a bite, he felt the qi and blood in his body surging, and his body was hot. After a quarter of an hour passed the breathing method again. Chang'e opened his eyes and took a deep breath. With a move in his heart, the attributes appeared in front of him. Chang'e. Body. 664 pull, 1000. Force. 666 pull, 1000. Min. 665 pull, 1000. Essence. 631 extreme, 1000. Talent 1. Dead dragon soldier characteristics. Armor break, dragon muscle 4 times the strength increase, stealing life, dragon soldier. Talent 2. Absorbing body, blood spring, quick healing, transformation. Skills. Tearing claw, perfect, double strength increase, need to improve proficiency, fighting technique, dragon might, dragon breath, perfect, triple damage. Cultivation method. Basic ancient yoga, holy dragon breathing method. Not bad. Looking at his attributes, Chen Ang nodded in satisfaction, got up and prepared to leave. Look into the distance. Chen Ang could see a huge beam of light in the distance. That is the exit, just like the secret realm. It will land randomly when entering. When going out, you need to go to where the beam of light is. But the distance is a little far, it seems that it will take a day in the past. But that's fine, just explore the surroundings while rushing over. Having said that, Chen Ang set off. At the same time, he is also using Goldfinger, constantly checking all directions around him. After experiencing the ruins of war, the treasures contained in them have long been hollowed out by others. A demon team is wandering in this direction, intending to find a single talented person to kill. It is not a threat to you, but they have nothing good on them. A fort built before the war, old and young ones hid in it, but when the food was cut off, everyone starved to death inside, and now you may see bones all over the ground. Don't look at it, baby is not so easy to come across. Perhaps this world has many students entering and exploring every day. As a result, for now, Chen Ang didn't find anything good, and could only keep running towards the exit. Time flies. 4 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Chen Ang took a deep breath, and when he was about to move on, he suddenly seemed to have discovered something and stopped suddenly, looking surprised. The empty tribe was slaughtered by a certain talent a few days ago, and the good things were also taken away. It is a bare mountain, but who would have thought that there is a tunnel deep into the ground, and at the end there is a great sleeping demon, which is absorbing the energy of destruction that destroys the world to change its own qualifications. Its blood contains essence, and it is very beneficial to take it, but it's too dangerous for you unless you can handle what you have. The ruins, nothing to see. How about a change of direction? How did you think that I would be able to elevate such a barren direction? Great demon. Chen Ang's eyes flickered, touching his chin in thought. The strength of the great demon is generally not weak. And this big devil wants to absorb the destruction gas of the world to change his aptitude. I am afraid his strength is even stronger. Even Goldfinger suggested that it was very dangerous for him. But if you use the items in your hand well, you can win. What's the meaning? In your own hands, there is something crucial that can deal a fatal blow to that great demon. Chen Ang's spiritual power penetrated into his space ring and searched carefully. Soon, Chen Ang's eyes lit up, and a bottle of potion appeared in his hand. Could it be this, the poisonous potion that Chen Ang obtained before? Below the 5th rank, you will die if you touch it. If the big devil is not above the 5th rank, then it is no surprise that this is the thing. Shaking the potion bottle in his hand, Chen Ang's mouth twitched. I didn't expect it to work here, but it's just right. With a move in his heart, the potion disappeared in his hands, and Chen Ang ran towards the bare mountain with anticipation. A quarter of an hour later, Chen Ang arrived at his destination. After going deep into the mountains, I began to keep looking. After a while, Chen Ang found it. This large stone was placed here by the demons, and behind it is a passage that goes straight to the ground. Found it. The corners of Chen Ang's mouth twitched, and after walking over, he grabbed the stone with both hands and exploded with strength. Rumbling, the stone was lifted above his head by Chen Ang. A hole appeared in front of him. Stepping into it, Chen Ang put a stone on the hole to block it, so as not to be discovered by others. Good things, of course, have to be enjoyed alone. The passage that goes deep into the ground is not dangerous until it reaches the end. The prompt in front of him reassured Chen Ang. Without the need for lighting equipment, Chen Ang's eyesight allows Chen Ang to see everything in the dark, so he walks forward. All the way deep, with the channel down. After walking for about a quarter of an hour, a ray of light began to appear in front of the dark passage. There was a faint hot breath coming towards him. Be careful, the big devil is sleeping at the end of the passage. If there is too much movement, it will wake it up, but if you are careful, your purpose of this trip will be very smooth. A prompt appears in front of you. Looking at the content in the prompt, Chen Ang suddenly dignified, lowered his footsteps and slowly walked forward. When it came to the end, a huge underground space appeared in front of him. Not far from the passage, there is a platform, the bottom of the platform is hollowed out, and there is only one way to go. And below the hollow, there is hot magma. On the platform, a huge black demon lay there quietly and made a snoring sound. At first glance, it is about 10 meters high, covered with black scales, and a pair of ferocious wings, 3 black horns on its forehead, wrapped in demonic energy, exuding a terrifying aura. If you look closely, you can see that there is a constant black aura, floating from the soil above and pouring into the body of the great demon. This should be the spirit of destruction, Chen Ang thought to himself. Glancing at the big demon, Chen Ang didn't dare to keep watching because he was afraid that the other party would notice. But even so, Chen Ang also sensed the strength of this big demon. 5th grade. Strong. Don't look at it's only level 5. But the devil itself is a powerful race, and the big devil is the strongest among the devils. The 5th order demon is not much stronger than the 6th order, and even stronger. Fortunately, the other party is still sleeping. Thinking of this, the corners of Chen Ang's mouth twitched, his heart moved, and the poisonous potion appeared in his hand. Call. Taking a deep breath, Chen Ang looked solemn and slowly walked towards the big demon. The great demon's breathing was heavy. Chen Ang looked calm. Go step by step. Stepping on the bridge to the platform, Chen Ang looked down. The lava tumbled and the distance was high, and there is no place to step on the way. If he fell into it, even Chen Ang would have to die there unwillingly. Taking a deep breath, Chen Ang moved forward again. Soon, Chen Ang came to the big demon. But then Chen Ang was confused again. How to use this thing? Splattered directly on the body. The highly toxic potion, since it is a potion, should be drunk. But how should this big devil keep his mouth closed? It is recommended that you don't think too much, open the cork, and pour it directly. But the moment you pour it, remember to run away immediately. Got it. Since Goldfinger has reminded so, Chen Ang naturally will not waste time. Open the cork and get ready. Chen Ang poured it directly at the big devil's head. The moment the highly poisonous medicine fell, a zzz sounded. It can be clearly seen that the scales and skin of the big devil have begun to rot and fester at a speed visible to the naked eye, and even spread frantically toward the surrounding area. It's like turning a piece of fresh flesh into rotten flesh. Just looking at it makes my scalp tingle. Chen Ang didn't even dare to stop at all. He glanced at it and turned around and ran away without hesitation. Behind it, the demon opened his eyes instantly. Demonic eruption. Roar. A mournful and painful roar was heard. The great devil slammed his head into the ground in an excruciating pain, and the highly poisonous medicine continued to corrode its head and face. Even go deep into it. Human. He roared angrily, saw Chen Ang's back, and without any hesitation he opened his bloody mouth and spit out a mouthful of magic flames. Chen Ang felt the dangerous breath behind him, and immediately turned back and opened his mouth. Boom! A breath of death dragon swept away. The magic flame and the death dragon's breath touched together, and bursts of fluctuations erupted, constantly stalemate. But the next moment, what? The demon made a painful sound again. The huge body began to twitch and twist in pain. The highly poisonous potion eroded almost its entire head, becoming rotten, and even beginning to melt. The flesh and scales seemed to have turned into blood and pus, dripping down constantly. That scene made Chen Ang frown tightly and murmured in his heart. This thing, it's a pity that the guy who came out of the research is dead, otherwise, getting a formula and adding a few more bottles to the body will definitely be a big killer. With this kind of power, the scales of the great demon are easily corroded, and if you touch it, I am afraid it will be the same scene. Under erosion, the big devil's eyeballs fell off. It screamed in pain and fell into madness. The fists clenched violently to the ground. Under the eruption of violent power, this underground space actually began to shake. Humanity. Human. You damn it, it growled angrily. He never thought that he could be found by humans when he was hidden in such a depth. It is even more so when he absorbs the energy of destruction and his abilities are weakened in all aspects, using such a terrible poison to deal with himself. Originally, as long as it absorbs enough destruction chi, it can even advance to become a powerful destruction demon. Its strength is even more terrifying, even its bloodline can be improved, and its status in the abyss is higher. But at this moment, it was all destroyed by a human being. It can even feel that if he does not remove these poisonous poisons, his life will be lost here. But the toxicity was horrible. Its demonic energy is constantly erupting, and it can't help these toxins in the slightest. Even the more terrifying the demonic energy erupted, the deeper the poison was. Its head is about to be completely eroded. Pain. Anger. With all kinds of emotions intertwined, it went crazy. I won't let you run, human. Let's die together. Although he couldn't see clearly, he locked Chen Ang's breath. Under the roar, his arms shook, and he suddenly charged towards Chen Ang, punching him violently. Chen Ang had already taken the form of a dead dragon soldier. His expression was solemn, and he did not have the slightest idea of being able to compete with him. He used his fastest speed to avoid this blow. Boom, even if you dodge. But this blow also erupted with great power. The underground space shook. A block of boulders fell overhead. This big devil is very strong. Chen Ang murmured in his heart. But I can't let him continue to bombard like this, otherwise even if it dies, this area may collapse, and I will be dragged down by it. We have to find an opportunity to hasten its death. Think so. The whistling sounded. Looking up, the big devil attacked again, and the demonic energy swept over it, as if there was a demon god phantom covering it, and a shocking blow erupted. Chen Ang dodged again, quickly rushed towards the entrance of the passage when he came. When he came here, Chen Ang looked back and saw a big devil attacked. You're wasted, Chen Ang sneered, and a breath of death dragon breathed out. There is no vision. Even if it can lock Chen Ang's breath, it is difficult to resist Chen Ang's attacking demon, or the reaction speed is slightly slower when he resists. It was only when the death dragon breath was approaching that he noticed it. Just as he was about to shoot out demonic flames to attack, the dragon breath had already fallen. What? Painful voices sounded. It fell to the ground from midair. The dragon breath of death is deprived of vitality. After taking this blow, let it lose its vitality like crazy, and it becomes difficult to resist the toxin. It even had difficulty speaking. But his anger grew stronger. If the pupil is still there, at this moment, there is incomparable resentment and madness in its eyes. I won't make it easier for you, human. It growled. Realized that his life was coming to an end, but at this moment he looked up. Soul fluctuations continued to erupt. Then suddenly screamed. All demons, remember this human being. Kill him. You can inherit everything I have in the abyss world. The blue light burst from its mind, that is its soul. And at the next moment, a bang sounded, and it exploded. The enormous power formed a wave of air that madly shook this underground space. Countless rubble fell. No, it's going to collapse. Chen Ang's face changed slightly, and without any hesitation, he waved at the corpse of the great demon that was about to fall into the magma, and put it into the space ring. Then he turned around abruptly and ran towards the direction of the passage. At the same time, a reminder appeared in front of Chen Ang. Congratulations, the great demon has made all the demons in this world remember you by means of the secret art of demon civilization. No accident, any demons in this world will start chasing and killing you when they see you. See this tip. Chen Ang was speechless for a while, and it took a long time to utter a word. Depend on. Why bother? It's just a slap in the face of you. To do such a thing at the cost of self-exploding the soul. But, is this the beginning of being hunted down by people from a world? Chen Ang murmured in his heart, but the speed under his feet was getting faster and faster. Rumbling. The bare mountains kept shaking. Thick dust rose up. After a while, boom, a loud bang. This mountain collapsed. Then a gray-faced figure rushed out of the dust, constantly, poo-poo, in his mouth. Hey, it's dangerous, if you slow down, it will be buried in it. Chen Ang breathed a sigh of relief. I patted the dust on my body, but I haven't had time to move on to the next step. Suddenly, Hukai, a cracking sound rang out. Chen Ang dodged sharply. A huge fireball passed by and smashed to the ground, making a bang, smashing a pothole into the ground, scorching black. Look back, is the devil. A group of demons were screaming in their mouths. There are little devils. There are also fire demons. There is also a succubus. The so-called succubus often appears in the novels that Chen Ang read before crossing the road. In the novels, the succubus is depicted as very hot, beautiful, and very tempting. And in fact, let alone, it really is. Chen Ang glanced at it, and when his eyes fell on the succubus with an enchanting body and a mixture of purple and white skin, his heartbeat subconsciously accelerated a lot, and he felt short of breath. But the next moment will come back to God. Tisk, it looks really hot, and the charm exudes inexplicably makes people feel the urge to vent their desires under the body, no wonder so many people like it. Chen Ang sneered and twisted his neck. Then he suddenly raised his right hand, grabbed the head of the little devil who was rushing over, and his strength exploded. Gotcha! The little devil's head shattered. These demons came to me so soon. Do they know my location? Or do they know the location of the big demon, so they came here to find me? With a murmur in his heart, Chen Ang looked up. Huge fireballs shot out from the mouths of the little devils. The fire demon waved his arms and turned into a flame giant, coming with a flaming heat wave. Chen Ang frowned slightly, trying to avoid it. Look here. A female voice sounded in his mind, causing Chen Ang's eyes to subconsciously look at the succubus and meet the eyes of the succubus. A pink light flashed in the eyes of the succubus, the corners of its mouth twitched, and disdain flashed in its eyes, trying to control the human talent in front of him. But then, boom, a dragon's might exploded directly. The succubus seemed to have suffered a backlash, and a trace of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. Chen Ang's eyes returned to clarity, and he opened his mouth with a sneer. Dragon breath spewed out. The voices from the mouths of the little devils came, and there was a high probability that they were screams. Not long after the sound, the dragon breath couldn't help engulfing the fireballs they spit out, and even engulfed them together, turning them into bones. Later, Chen Ang faced the incoming fire demon, wearing dragon scales, and tearing it away with one claw. Boom! Fire hits. Chen Ang stood firm and let the flames burn himself. The tearing claw was urged, and the flames were separated under this claw, and then swept straight towards the fire demon. Puff! The fire demon's head was torn apart and died on the spot. The flames dissipated. Chen Ang glanced at the dragon scales with slight traces of scalding. With an indifferent expression, he stepped out and went straight to the last remaining succubus. Apparently it felt Chen Ang's terrifying, with a look of fear on its face. It couldn't escape even if it wanted to escape. Knowing that Chen Ang would catch up, it could only look at Chen Ang with a pitiful expression, and there was a faint mist in its eyes. Such a pitiful appearance, if it is seen by ordinary talented people, I am afraid it will be very distressed. But Chen Ang sneered. It's kind of interesting. I don't mind finding 2 succubus maids when I have the chance in the future. After all, I really have the urge to vent my desires. But if you do, go to die. The voice fell, and Chen Ang's dragon claws covered the head of the succubus. Under the terrified gaze of the succubus, the power exploded. Gotcha! The red and white things suddenly sputtered. After speeding up these demons, Chen Ang didn't find the material, so he immediately got up and ran towards the distance, without the thought of staying in place. If nothing else, those demons came here because they knew that the big demon was here, not my location. Let's leave quickly, so as not to be surrounded by demons. Ordinary demons are fine. I was afraid that some demons above the 5th order would come. And there's more than one. It will be troublesome then. Soon, Chen Ang found a cave, and after stepping into it, he sat down cross-legged and rested. He waved his hand in anticipation. The corpse of the great demon emerged. It is recommended that you cut off the parts above the neck, otherwise the toxins will invade the body, and you will not be able to take all the blood at that time. A prompt appears in front of you. Chen Ang raised his eyebrows, a little reluctant. But there is no way, only the right hand turns into a dragon claw with a wave, directly tearing and cutting the part. And dug a hole to bury it. The blood in the big demon keeps dripping. This thing can actually enhance my strength. Tisk, I hope it doesn't taste good and it's too unpleasant to drink. Chen Ang muttered. The blood of the devil is black and red. It looked like it was poisoned. That is to say, Chen Ang has gold finger, otherwise Chen Ang might not dare to drink it if he just poured a highly poisonous medicine on him. And this is not a drink, pure blood, or demon blood. But in order to improve his strength, Chen Ang could only frown, put his mouth up, and swallow. To be frank, no taste. But when the demon blood was swallowed, Chen Ang could clearly feel the sharp pain of a tear in his body. It seems that there is a force swaying in the body. It hurts. Tearing pain. Chen Ang gritted his teeth and endured it. The prompt appeared in front of him again. Take out the leaves of the enlightenment tree and soak them in water, you will get greater benefits. Don't say it sooner. Seeing the content of this prompt, Chen Ang cursed inwardly, and while enduring the severe pain, he became busy again. After a while, the hot water was ready. Chen Ang took out the leaves of the enlightenment tree, put them in, soaked them for a minute, and drank them directly. Of money. Severe pain emanates from every corner of the body. In this state, Chen Ang's expression slowly calmed down and entered a state of epiphany. However, the movement did not stop, and he continued to swallow the blood of the devil. And with the continuous reference of the demon blood, gradually, a faint evil spirit and demonic energy emanated from Chen Ang's body. The magic is black and red. The evil spirit is gray-black. The two auras exuded, making Chen Ang look like a man in the devil's way. The two scents were very light at first, but gradually, these two auras became stronger and stronger. Chen Ang looked calm and closed his eyes. It seemed to be feeling something, and there was a bang. An aura erupted, turned into a wave of air, and rolled away. Longwei. And after the outbreak of Longwei, the three breaths began to have a trend of blending. Evil can affect the mind. Demonic energy, likewise, produces hallucinations. And Longwei is to deter the enemy's spirit. Now, these three breaths are blending with each other. Mainly Longwei. Even subconsciously, Chen Ang's left arm turned into a dragon claw and slowly waved. That's the tearing claw being activated. The sound of breaking the air kept ringing. Chen Ang fell into an epiphany, completely unaware, completely immersed in it. Time passed slowly. 5 minutes, 1/4 of an hour. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. The already dim sky outside was completely dim. About 5 hours later, the breath entangled in Chen Ang's body has long since disappeared. Call. Chen Ang slowly opened his eyes and regained clarity. Exhaling a turbid breath, Chen Ang subconsciously looked down at his left and right dragon claws, his eyes flashing with excitement. Sure enough, my initial guess was right. Longwei can indeed merge with evil spirits to form a more terrifying aura. But I didn't expect that it could even be integrated into melee combat skills. Between words, Chen Ang's heart moved. Boom. The blood-red aura erupted, almost inflicting substantial damage, causing dense and shallow traces to appear on the walls of the cave. This terrifying momentum is also like a blood-red thunder and lightning, covering its whole body. Against this momentum, Chen Ang is like a blood-colored king, full of domineering aura. This is Longwei, but it is already a brand new Longwei. Incorporating his own suffocating energy, incorporating the demonic energy contained in swallowing demonic blood, possessing even more terrifying power. Not only can it frighten the mind, but it can also cause substantial damage, and at the same time, it can make enemies with fear in their hearts create hallucinations and kill each other with their companions. When it is even more powerful, this breath can be used to increase the skills of close combat. Tearing claw. Chen Ang's heart moved. Immediately, he waved his right claw and displayed his tearing claw to attack the wall. It can be seen that as this claw is swung out, Longwei immediately wraps around the right claw, as if streaks of blood-colored thunder are wrapped around, making the power of this strike look astonishing. Boom, one by one. One shot down. The cave was cracked with a deep hole, almost torn through. Too strong. Chen Ang couldn't help but marvel, with a smile on his face. The most important thing is that this ability is too practical. Basically, close combat can be used. Even if it is not used in conjunction with skills, it can still be used to enhance the ability of close combat through the entanglement of breath. Under the entanglement of Longwei, each attack can probably increase the power by 0.5 times. It's so scary to know. Longwei is also a skill. This is still getting started. If the proficiency is improved again and reaches the perfect level, it will be terrifying for Chen Ang's combat effectiveness. But speaking of it, the current appearance of Longwei is somewhat similar to the domineering in the One Piece anime. Chen Ang muttered, and after a chuckle, shook his head, his heart moved, and his attributes emerged. Chen Ang. Body. 764 pull, 1000. Force. 766 pull, 1000. Min. 765 pull, 1000. Essence. 731 extreme, 1000. Talent 1. Dead Dragon Soldier characteristics. Armor break, Dragon muscle 4 times the strength increase, stealing life, Dragon Soldier. Talent 2. Absorbing body, blood spring, quick healing, transformation. Skills. Tearing claw, completeness 3 times the strength increase, fighting technique, Dragon power, mutation, 0.5 times the damage, Dragon breath, completeness 3 times the damage. Cultivation method. Basic ancient yoga, holy dragon breathing method. Tisk, if you had this kind of attribute when you fought against that great demon before, it would be possible to kill him by taking advantage of it when he was poisoned. It can only be said that the demon blood is really powerful. Almost all of Chen Ang's attributes have been enhanced by 100. In addition, even the proficiency of the tearing claw has finally been improved to perfection. 3 times the strength of the increase, there is no enemy now. Otherwise, Chen Ang really wants to try his current full-strength explosion. To what extent? However, the improvement of the tearing claw is derived from the leaves of the enlightenment tree, not the blood of the devil. Shaking his head, Chen Ang took out his mobile phone, checked the time, and started building a bonfire. He took out the dead Yulong's flesh and blood that he had not eaten before, roasted it, and prepared to rest. The night was dark, it was already around 11 or 12 o'clock. With his back against the wall, Chen Ang quickly fell asleep. In a blink of an eye, the next day came. A new day has come. As soon as the sun rose, Chen Ang woke up BFCH. After a simple shower and breakfast, Chen Ang left the cave. Looking at the location of the exit, he grinned, stepped out and ran wildly. All the way to the exit, Chen Ang did not forget to find resources through Goldfinger. About an hour later, Chen Ang stopped. There is a demon tribe in front of you. If you want to go there, you can either take a detour or kill it. The ruins on the right used to have a jar of water of life. Later, the water of life was taken away, and the area was damaged. Only a few drops in the ruins were scattered on the ground, and a purple spirit flower was born in the ruins. If you want to get it, you'd better go quickly, because there are also demons wandering in this area, maybe they will be found. On the left is an endless plain, with Gorefiend wandering around, it is recommended to avoid it. Purple Spirit Flower. Seeing this name, Chen Ang looked startled, and then pondered. After a while, his eyes lit up and he remembered. This is a life-type treasure. Usually, a life is a treasure of heaven and earth, and naturally it is not worthy of his attention. But now, he's just so short of it. After all, the evolution of the mad dragon's physique, he is still a lifeline treasure. At that time, as long as he gets the blood of the dragon, he can start to evolve in this direction. Chen Ang had not encountered much before, so he was a little distressed. After all, sometimes, the more you want something, the harder it is to get it. When you don't want it, it happens to come. I thought I would not meet this time before I left, but I found it now. Thinking of this, Chen Ang's eyes flashed with anticipation, and he ran towards that direction without any hesitation. With the explosion of speed, Chen Ang's body was like an afterimage, and wherever he walked, dust and sand were swept up. In less than a moment, Chen Ang arrived at the destination and saw the ruins. Through some striking buildings, it could be seen that before it became a ruin, it used to be an altar. And around, there are about 7 or 8 demons wandering around. 6 little devils, and a Yanmo who exudes a 4th-order breath. Yanmo is the superior demon of fire demon. The body is larger, covered in bloody flames, and the temperature is higher. At the moment Chen Ang arrived, Yanmo found Chen Ang, his arms shook, blood was surging, he turned into a flaming hand to kill him, and there was an excited voice in his mouth. Heard. Chen Ang twisted his neck and faced Yanmo's giant hand, but raised his right foot and slowly lowered it. Whoosh! His figure disappeared. The giant hand fell, smashing the ground into a huge slap print, but was perfectly avoided by Chen Ang. When Chen Ang appeared again, he was already in front of Yanmo. Perhaps shocked by Chen Ang's speed, Yanmo's eyes flashed with shock, and then blood and fire erupted from his body, slapping towards Chen Ang like a wave. It was still ranting, perhaps excited to discover Chen Ang. Can you shut up when you say something I don't understand, it's very noisy. Chen Ang whispered to himself. The dragon scales covered the whole body, and then a claw was torn out. The breath is entangled, and the blood-colored thunder is covered. The tearing claw is activated. With one blow, the blood fire was easily torn apart, and then fell on Yanmo. What? Painful voice suddenly sounded. Just one hit. Yanmo's entire body was actually torn apart under this claw, so terrifying. All one blow is to kill the 4th-order Yanmo. It can only be said that Chen Ang's strength has increased, too big. An incomprehensible voice came from behind. Chen Ang looked back. It was those little demons who were looking at Chen Ang in horror, as if they wanted to escape. The corners of Chen Ang's mouth twitched, and he spit out a cold word. Die. Boom. Long Wei erupted, as if the blood-colored thunder swept away. Under this momentum, the fearful little devil's eyes suddenly turned scarlet, and without the slightest hesitation, he raised his weapon to attack the other little devils beside him and slaughtered. But for a moment, these little devils all died of cannibalism. If you clear the mobs, this skill is very useful. Chen Ang thought in his heart, and immediately looked down at Yan Mo's corpse beside him, and squatted down to pick up a bead. Yan Mazu, it's not bad, I got 30,000 yuan. Chen Ang nodded in satisfaction, got up and went to the ruins, his eyes flickering, looking for the location of the purple spirit flower. 1 point ahead. Yes, it is here, but please be careful as it can be easily damaged. A prompt appeared in front of him. After Chen Ang carefully removed the ruins in front of him, a beautiful purple flower with strong vitality appeared in front of him, growing tenaciously under the ruins. After picking it and putting it into the space ring, Chen Ang couldn't help but smile. I got it, then, it's just a matter of the dragon's heart and blood, and I don't know what happened to Uncle Li. When Chen Ang thought of Li Chengkong, just, Dikane, in a luxury villa. Li Chengkong rang the doorbell. After a while, the door was opened. Then, a woman appeared in front of Li Chengkong. Yo, isn't this Mr. Li? Why did you think of coming to my copper-smelling businessman's house? The woman said in a mocking tone, turning around and walking into the house as she spoke. Come in, what are you doing standing at the door? Those who don't know think I'm a businessman bullying officials. Cough cough. Li Chengkong touched his nose and looked embarrassed, but thinking of his daughter, he gritted his teeth and walked into the house. After sitting down on the sofa, the woman poured a glass of water and pushed it in front of Li Chengkong, then took a sip of coffee and asked. Tell me, how is that girl Liao recently? Pretty good. That's good. The woman was relieved. Do you miss me? Well, think. Hearing this, the woman said calmly. It just so happens that she's going to college, right? Which college? Martial Arts Academy. Li Chengkong laughed. It happens that you are also in the capital, so you can visit her more when you have time. Is that what you need to say? The woman pouted. I'm her mother, I'll definitely go to see her, but tell me, this time you're here, definitely not because of this kind of thing. In the past, you must have called me directly to tell me about this kind of thing, rather than come in person. Hearing this, Li Chengkong immediately touted it. Cough cough, Leonor, as expected of you, the fiery eyes, you can see it at once, it's really amazing. The woman sneered, her face calm. Don't blow if you can't blow it, and get down to business. Cough, okay. Li Chengkong didn't talk nonsense, and decided to quit. I made a deal with a person for Liao's talent evolution potion. The other party needs a material and I don't have it, so I came to you. Liao's talent potion. The woman frowned slightly and asked. Speaking of which, you have never told me about Liao's talent. Her talent is the light of healing. It is reasonable to say that if she evolves normally, it is just that route. With your ability, as long as you are below the 4th rank, you want to find someone. It should be a very simple matter to configure the medicine. Why did you suddenly want to trade with other people? Could it be another direction? Right. Li Chengkong nodded and said solemnly. It has now evolved into the holy light. Holy light. The woman's eyes flickered and the corners of her mouth twitched. Interesting. Who did you deal with? You don't know each other, but if you have time, you can go and see him. He is Liao's classmate and this year's top student in the college entrance examination. He will come to Wuku Academy. And, Li Chengkong thought for a while, and then said, Liao came to the Wuku Academy for this child. At this point, the woman has understood. Feeling is this my daughter's little lover? The smile on her face grew even wider. Tell me about the child's condition. Li Chengkong nodded and introduced Chen Ang to the woman. After listening, a shocking color appeared in the woman's eyes. After the shock, think about it. As you put it, he is indeed a monster. But if you want to marry my daughter, it's useless no matter how evil you are, you still have to look at your personality, and if your personality is different, it won't work. She snorted coldly and glanced at Li Chengkong. Li Chengkong reminded him as if he hadn't seen it. They didn't chase your daughter. How could she go to Wuku Academy for others without chasing her? Fine. The woman's thoughts changed and she understood. Cannot help but help the forehead. After a long time, he sighed and asked, what material does he want? A drop of blood from a dragon's heart. Tisk. Hearing this material, the woman smacked her lips and exclaimed, you said that he is a third order. Ordinary talent of the third order can't use this kind of material. It is not bad to be able to use Yulong's hard work. His talent is probably not just as powerful as we imagined. Who knows that? Li Chengkong smiled lightly, not caring about it. In other words, even caring is useless. The woman knew this, but did not ask. Instead, he touched his chin and thought for a moment, then nodded. Okay, I see. I can give you this material, but Liao will stay with me for a year, no problem. No problem at all, Li Chengkong had long expected. Even with a satisfied smile on his face. Just get the materials. It just so happens that he has something to do next. Thinking of that incident, Li Chengkong couldn't help but his eyes flashed, and a trace of thought flashed in his eyes. To this, Chen Ang was completely unaware. After getting the material, continued to move towards the exit. Just a few kilometers away from the exit, Chen Ang turned his head and looked in one direction. When the prompt appeared in front of him, his eyes widened, and a shock appeared in his eyes. That is, Chen Ang was shocked. The direction he was looking at was actually only a sea of Wangyang. It is a real world after all, and there will naturally be oceans. And there are even a lot of good things in the ocean. When many precious things on land have been explored by the students, maybe they will step into the ocean to find treasures and materials. If only the ocean is nothing. After all, Chen Ang has no interest in the ocean at present, and he has really stepped into the ocean, and the ghost knows what to come back. What really shocked him was the prompt that appeared in front of him when he looked towards the sea. Without the end of the sea, who would know that in the deep sea trench 1,000 nautical miles in front of this sea, there is a heaven and earth wonder that was born naturally by condensing the essence of the whole world from the world consciousness before the world collapsed. It contains danger, but at the same time, it also contains extremely rare treasures. Hi, 083. Looking at the prompt in front of him, Chen Ang subconsciously took a deep breath. He didn't know what the wonders of heaven and earth were. But looking at the introduction, you can see how extraordinary it is. It turned out to be born from the concentration of the essence of the entire world by the world consciousness before the world collapsed. This alone is enough to make people think. It even reminded Chen Ang subconsciously of what Sylvana said before. But, Chen Ang's heart moved slightly. Look forward again. The ancient evil god wanted to capture this wonder of heaven and earth, but he couldn't enter this world to see it, so he opened the gap and let the believers surround him. If he didn't have the ability to resist mental chaos, he would be sent to death. Of course, you don't have to worry too much, because its believers are still unable to enter the wonders of heaven and earth. The brand new prompt made Chen Ang look solemn. An ancient evil god. Chen Ang's eyes flickered. To be honest, he was moved. Want to explore. But for now, he can't go. After all, Chen Ang doesn't have the ability to resist mental confusion. Maybe you need to go to the treasure house of the academy to find a suitable skill to learn. Fortunately, I still have time. The believers of the ancient evil god cannot enter the wonders of heaven and earth. Although I don't know what's inside, and even the wonders of heaven and earth, I have to decide. Chen Ang murmured, took a deep breath, looked away, and continued to run towards the exit. Although a little reluctant, but life is more important. Run all the way down. Chen Ang quickly arrived at the exit. Here, several figures can be seen stepping into it and disappearing. There were also people who saw Chen Ang. Although they didn't know him, they nodded slightly to say hello and left. Chen Ang grinned and nodded in response to those who said hello. Then he stepped into the exit, feeling dizzy. When he opened his eyes again, he had already returned to the academy. Phew, let out a suffocating breath. After paying 10,000 points, Chen Ang walked to the building beside him, ready to exchange all the useless gains he had this time for points. This trip cost 20,000 points. But Chen Ang's harvest was 190,000. Most came from the 2 men who were killed. After everything was done, Chen Ang went straight to the college's library. Due to the holidays, there are not many people here. When Chen Ang entered the library, he found that there was only himself in the entire library. Let me find out where it is, Chen Ang murmured in his heart, and his eyes searched on the rows of bookshelves. The purpose of his coming here was naturally to find out if there were any books that introduced the wonders of heaven and earth, and wanted to know about it first. Sure enough, here it is. Soon, Chen Ang found it and pulled out a book from the shelf. Information of the Talented. Close double angle bracket. This is the title of the book. It seems to have nothing to do with the wonders of heaven and earth. But Chen Ang used gold finger to find it, and then confirmed the book. After opening, through the catalog, Chen Ang turned to page 87, and the content of this page made Chen Ang ponder. The wonders of heaven and earth are only a rare thing born in a world. The characteristics of heaven and earth are different, their functions are different, and their functions are different, but they contain unimaginable power. And once the wonders of heaven and earth are stored in a world, it will naturally enhance the strength of the law of the world, so the wonders of heaven and earth are also treasures that can cause the world masters to fight. Opening square bracket ... closing parenthesis. Tisk, no wonder even an evil god would be interested in it. After reading the introduction, Chen Ang suddenly felt in his heart. Even the world master will fight against it. No wonder the evil god is interested. Fortunately, the evil god could not enter the world of destruction. Otherwise, this thing would have been taken away by the ancient evil god. With a light laugh, Chen Ang put down the book, turned and left the library. This time, Chen Ang went straight to the treasure house. Just like the treasure trove in the school in Diwan City. There is an old guard at the door. However, the old man at the entrance of the treasure house of the Wuku Academy gave off a sense of danger. Obviously strong. Doing what? The old man asked Chen Ang. Chen Ang took out his ID card and replied, "Choose a skill." After taking the ID card, the old man glanced at it, and his eyes flashed with surprise. Tisk tisk tisk, how come you have the right to choose so many times? After Chen Ang hesitated for a while, he grinned. Maybe because I'm a genius. Ha ha ha, funny. This answer made the old man burst into laughter and nodded immediately. You're right. Only geniuses have this kind of authority. Okay, no problem, just go in. By the way, the skills are on the first layer, and the second layer is the material. The third layer is resources. Okay, I see, thank you old gentleman for your promotion. Chen Ang put away his ID card, thanked him, and stepped into the treasure house. As soon as he entered, Chen Ang was dazzled. Just like a library, there are rows of shelves. Every row of shelves is covered with ancient patterns and protected by prohibition. Overlord Fist. The lotus grows step by step. The power of the stars. Fa Shangtiandi. Various ancient pattern skills make Chen Ang's eyes blazing. But he only had 2 chances to choose on his own. And this time, it is also for the skills to resist mental confusion. Therefore, Chen Ang took a deep breath, quickly suppressed the desire in his heart, and moved in his heart. A prompt appeared in front of him. If it is what you think, then it is recommended to go to the 7th row in the 5th column from the top to the 3rd row. Got it. Looking at the prompt, Chen Ang's mouth twitched, and he immediately walked towards the prompt. After arriving, Chen Ang saw the ancient pattern hinted by Gold Finger. Look surprised. Spiritual protection. There is also a text description below. Spiritual guardian ancient pattern. Through the explosion of spiritual power, a layer of protection is formed from the spiritual world of oneself. When the spiritual power of the other party does not exceed its own, it cannot cause any damage to its own spirit. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.